All right, we're live. Hey everybody, welcome in. Thanks for being here. I'm excited to get going. I'm going to give it a minute for folks to keep joining in, and then Scott's going to say a few words, and we'll get going. So I appreciate everyone being here, and drop in the chat where you're calling in from.
I'm so excited to be on ClawShop 2, the sequel. Usually, I thought I was going to be one of those characters that dies off before the sequel, but you brought me back.
This is going to be a good sequel. There's a lot of bad sequels out there. This will be a good
There
one.
are a lot of bad sequels.
Yeah. Everyone put in the chat what's the worst sequel while we
And
wait.
what's the best sequel?
That too.
I think Kung Fu Panda 2. I think that's the best sequel of all time.
Those are underrated movies.
Very
Those are
underrated.
movies that adults can enjoy, and
Agreed.
people aren't talking about that enough. All right, cool. I see a bunch of people filing in, so maybe we'll give it one more minute and then we'll get going.
Did anybody put any good ones in the chat? Any sequels?
I think there's about a minute delay, so I'm still waiting on.
I'm excited to see what sequels people put in.
Yeah, me too.
Brian, what's your favorite or least favorite sequel?
Oh, man, I like Rocky 2. People don't like Rocky 2, but I like it.
And why do you think you like it and people don't like it?
I think, well, I mean, the beauty of Rocky 1 is that he loses, but it's still a moral victory, and then he just wins against Apollo again in Rocky 2. So it's like a little bit of like a cheap shot, I think, but it's like I think it was one of the early violent-ish movies that my dad let me watch. So it's like a special.
So sentimental. I like it.
Yeah.
Like
people are saying Terminator 2.
Terminator 2, yeah.
Matrix 2 is the worst. That's a good call. Matrix 2 isn't great.
What do people think about Matrix 4? That's the
yeah. Gladiator 2. Okay, let's get going. There's people here. Thanks everyone for being here. I'm Brian, developer relations engineer at Kilo. Scott, co-founder and CEO. We have a bunch of great guests today. We're going to go over some awesome real use cases with AI. We're going to make sure everyone's set up with ClawShop and understands what it is. But before we get to that, I want to hand it over to Scott to say a few words. I'm going to hop off stage and I'll be back in just a minute. So all yours, Scott.
Thank you, Brian. Hi, everyone. Scott, CEO of Kilo. Excited to be here for ClawShop 2. As we were kind of joking around with Brian, I didn't think I would make it to the sequel, but I'm glad I was invited back. So thank you, Brian. Before we kind of jump into all the awesome things and kind of, in OpenClaw that we're going to kind of talk about today, I just wanted to kind of share some of my thinking and kind of what I've been spending a lot of time giving some thought to lately. And it's that there really still continues to be a gap between what agents actually can do, which is here, and what, a lot of professionals think that they can do, which is here. When people hear AI agent, they picture, it is this like very developer code-centric tool that requires a terminal, a local environment, or at least some sort of technical background to get it running. And I think that assumption is just like wrong. And I think it is actually, it's important to call that out because it's holding a lot of people back, people who I think could get a lot of value out of always on agents like OpenClaw and of course ClawShop. First, OpenClaw is open source, so anybody can run it. And what we've seen is that when non-technical folks actually do get their hands on OpenClaw, they don't just use it occasionally. They actually go all in and restructure whole parts of how they work. And so, we're seeing operations professionals automating the administrative work that used to take up their whole morning. Imagine not having that first chunk of your day, like that first hour where you're just doing admin and just going straight to the valuable stuff. We see researchers offloading literature reviews, summarization, and data organization. Folks in finance, marketing, legal, HR, finding parts of the job that don't actually require them to be doing it anymore. And the most important thing is that none of these folks are actually writing code. They're describing what they need done and letting the agent handle it. Because the conversational interface is the interface now. You do not need to write code to kind of unlock the value and the power of always on agents. And so kind of why are we Kilo so excited about OpenClaw? We're seeing this transformation firsthand. And so we've jumped in and we've built ClawShop, which is our cloud hosted, fully managed version of OpenClaw. It's OpenClaw under the hood, but we handle the infrastructure so that you can kind of go straight to the value and not get stumped by setting up some sort of local environment or a Mac Mini. It's just an account and a few minutes of onboarding, and you're up and running. And so this is what today is all about. About the folks that are getting up and running in OpenClaw right now and doing real valuable things. It's about, you'll hear talks from builders at AI Model Labs, personal agent tools, experts from all over the AI and kind of always on agent domain. You'll see real workflows from real people, use cases that hold up in more than kind of just a demo environment, but they're actually used day to day. You'll hear about the latest thinking on how non-technical professionals are using agents across every function. And then most importantly, you'll have practical takeaways that you can just take home and get rocking and rolling with. Because I do think that the folks, the professionals out there, the knowledge workers, the kind of less technical folks that do kind of figure this out, figure out always on agents and OpenClaw will be at a distinct advantage. But you don't have to actually understand how the agents are working under the hood to get the value out of it. That's the important thing. It's conversational. I think the biggest challenge, honestly, once you get up and running, which should only be a couple minutes if you're using a hosted tool like KiloClaw, is identifying which parts of the job are actually worth handing off and which are the most valuable for you to continue doing. And then once you figure that out, it's kind of, you get these exponential gains. You put a little bit of work up front, and then you start to get that time back, and it adds up and it adds up and adds up. And then, I know, at least in my world, and a lot of my Kilo colleagues, is kind of a couple weeks, and now we're coming in multi-months of having OpenClaw running with our KiloClaw bots. I really don't know how I would go back to kind of having to do all that manual work. And so I've been talking for a while. I'll stop because the sessions are the real meat of why you're here. Just want to say thank you for being here. Welcome again, and really enjoy ClawShop. It's going to be a heck of a day.
Well, thanks so much, Scott. I appreciate those words, and I'm fired up to get going. So thanks for joining again, and I'm sure we'll see you soon at another ClawShop.
I'll see you at the next one.
Bye, Scott.
See you, Brian.
All right, cool. Well, give it up for Scott. That was great. I'm fired up and ready to go. I want to, for this first session until we have our first guest at 11:30, I want to go over some resources that I can share with you all so that you have a guide to follow along with the session as we go. I'm going to talk about what OpenClaw and KiloClaw are. I'm going to talk about kind of what's happening in the industry right now. And then at 11:30, we'll have our first very special guest. So if you're here, then you've probably at least heard of or, are flirting with OpenClaw, if not already using it. If anyone isn't using OpenClaw yet, let me know in the comments because I'd be interested, or at least hasn't heard of it yet. Scott kind of shed some light on what it is, but if you don't know, OpenClaw is like a 24/7 proactive AI agent. So it's different than the other AI agents that we've all become used to over the past couple of years, in that it's not a linear. You do chat with it in a conversational interface, but it's not transactional like ChatGPT is, in that you ask a question, you get an answer. If it's code, or if it's a blog post or a social post, you had a draft, you copy that and go paste it somewhere else. There's still a lot of manual work in there. ChatGPT is great for text generation, but when it comes to actually facilitating end-to-end workflows, OpenClaw is basically a paradigm shifting unlock for most people. Because like I said, it's 24/7, meaning it's always on. It's proactive, meaning it can make decisions while you're offline and go ahead and do things in external platforms for you. So it's really the first reliable AI agent and wildly popular AI agent that can actually go out and do things on your behalf. It's basically like having an always on personal assistant, and it really is. And if you become comfortable using it, you start to, I'm kind of on this wave of realizing just how much I can actually automate with OpenClaw and KiloClaw, and it's been wild. And I do think that from a professional perspective, this sort of technology is bound to be adopted universally in corporate settings eventually. And for people that adopt it now, it's going to be even more valuable because you're going to be able to become an expert that people come to when they're trying to set up and get started with it. So we're at an interesting time though, right? Where I know some people that are still kind of warming up to Chat GPT, even in the professional world. They're just kind of learning how major of an unlock generative AI is in general. So there's kind of one end of the spectrum where people are still kind of just getting started with AI tools, and then there's the other end of the spectrum, excuse me, where people are offloading like their entire workday to proactive agents. And I've genuinely met people that have done that. I know people that swear that they only work 15 minutes a day now because of how robust their OpenClaw workflows are, which is just wild. That's not intended to frighten anybody or imply that anyone is falling behind, but more that I just want to share how this technology can truly be like a multiplier of the human. There's so many interesting ways to be productive with OpenClaw and KiloClaw, to work on things at the same time, to build workflows once that can continue serving you forever. And like I said, the people who adopt this technology early will get so much more done, and they'll be able to focus on the parts of work that are more enjoyable, right? No one likes doing the administrative copy and pasting, moving information around part of their day that is a lot bigger part of your day than you might expect. You like to, I mean, at least for me, and I think most people would agree, the most fun part of work is the ideation, is steering the direction of a product or a project that you're working on, being creative, getting things done and having things actually ship and be delivered to your audience or your customers or your coworkers. And that's kind of what this unlocks in a major way, because proactive AI and true agentic orchestration, which means running multiple AI agents at once in parallel in an intelligent way, is truly something, and unlock that I don't think many people fully understand yet. And if you're here, hopefully you'll understand it a lot better by the end of the call, and you'll walk away with some real use cases you can get going. So again, that jump from the slow back and forth, completely transactional relationship that we all had with ChatGPT back in 2023 or whatever, is simply not the same as what we have now with OpenClaw, where it can go out into the digital world, fulfill end-to-end use cases on your behalf, and you don't even have to remind it to continue to do so, and it will just return with the executed deliverables. So, excuse me. To get more specific, it's things like, I've seen people set up workflows where their OpenClaw agent is identifying trending topics on X or on blog posts that they follow, then crafting their own blog posts or social posts using context about you and your voice, posting those posts on social media, analyzing the posts that do well and do poorly over time, and intelligently adjusting your social strategy. And that's all happening after this person just set up one workflow. Um, okay, we're going to get to more examples in a minute, but I want to share with you some resources that will help you follow along with the rest of the session, and some resources to help you get started with KiloClaw. Then I'm going to show you quickly what the KiloClaw onboarding looks like, and explain a little bit more about what KiloClaw is, how it's different than OpenClaw. And then I'll show you something interesting that I've built on top of KiloClaw, and then we'll get to our first guest. Okay, sound good? All right, cool. So the first thing I want to share with you all is this resource guide here. I'm going to share my screen. One moment. Okay. So this is our, ClawShop resource guide that I put together. If anyone was here at the last event we did a couple weeks ago, this might look familiar, but you can all join here by scanning this QR code or going to the link, kilo.codes/CS2, or by just scanning this QR code. And I'll leave that up on screen for everyone to get a scan of that. And I'll also go ahead and paste it in the chat, in the YouTube chat if you're here on YouTube. Okay, cool. So this again is a kind of buddy guide for the workshop, and it's also something that you can use when the workshop's over. It contains some information about the speakers we'll have today. It contains some directions on how to get started with KiloClaw. It contains some starter guides and some more fun resources. So I'm gonna leave it up for just a minute for everyone to get that scanned. Seeing some love in the chat here. Cool. And again, if anyone, I'm going to jump over to the main page now, but if anyone hasn't had a chance to scan, it's in the YouTube chat. It's just kilo.codes/CS2 for ClawShop 2. I'll go back to kind of walk you through what's in here. So the first thing is our social channels. If you want to stay tuned on how we're thinking and what we're working on, you can follow us on X, LinkedIn, and Instagram here. We also have our speaker schedule. So you can check that out. I want to not tease that too much because I'm really excited about the guests we have, but you can go check that out yourself. I have some resources here on some KiloClaw use cases, links to our website called Claw Bytes, which is like our use case cookbook. So you can filter by kind of category, by course, and it's a bunch of copy and paste workflows that you can paste into your KiloClaw agent. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, to do all sorts of different things, all the way from, AI slopping your work that comes out of your KiloClaw, setting up a tech digest, budget meal planning, even prayer guidance and daily Bible verses if you're into that. Inbox Zero bot, so full Gmail control. And there's almost 800 of these recipes for all different sorts of use cases. And again, like, I don't want to be dramatic, but you can really offload anything you do manually now to KiloClaw. And it's pretty wild once you kind of get that mental model of how it works and you start actually offloading things. The rabbit hole just never ends. And I've offloaded so much to it. And I know a lot of people that will be speaking at the workshop today have as well. So there's Claw Bytes there. There's also the KiloClaw benchmark, which will have our my buddy Brendan come on later in the day to talk about. It's Pinch Bench, which is a benchmark that evaluates which models are best for OpenClaw. So right now the incumbent is Opus, as some might expect, but you can kind of review here based on speed, cost, value, and success rate on various OpenClaw tasks, which model you might want to use to power your KiloClaw. Then we have some further setup instructions, which I'll show you how that's relevant in a minute, and some OpenClaw starter prompts. So you can use this in KiloClaw or vanilla OpenClaw if you already have that set up. But there's a few quick use cases that you can set up just by, it's kind of like a Mad Libs thing, if anyone's familiar with that, by entering your topics and copying and pasting, and some initial best practices that you can give your bot to kind of get it set up in the right way. Whoops. Okay, cool. So I'm just checking the comments real quick to make sure everything's good. All right. So I'm going to walk you through how to set up a KiloClaw. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it is. If you're new, you can spin up a free trial here by just clicking this button right here on the guide. Take you over to the Kilo dashboard. You'll get a 7-day free trial, and then you can start experimenting with KiloClaw right away. I'm going to show you what that onboarding looks like. If you go to the Kilo dashboard, this is where you spin up your claw. It's at app.kilo.ai. So I'm going to share that in the chat. App.kilo.ai. It's a KiloClaw dashboard. And again, as Scott mentioned, KiloClaw is Kilo's cloud-hosted and fully managed OpenClaw. So it's still OpenClaw. It's the same OpenClaw we all know and love, except we provision a virtual machine, so a computer out in the cloud, basically, that's not on your local machine and will have access to anything on your local computer or any of your files, which has OpenClaw already set up and configured on it. So basically, if anyone's tried to set up OpenClaw on their own, especially if you're not super technical, it's pretty challenging still. It can take days, if not longer, to actually get to your first working use case reliably. So we kind of manage all of that setup for you so that you can just do a quick onboarding that takes like less than 2 minutes, and get chatting with your agent right away. So as I mentioned, KiloClaw is OpenClaw, so it can do all the great things that OpenClaw can do, but you just access it right here from the web. So you don't need a local machine, you don't need a Mac Mini, despite what you might have heard. You can do it all from the web and unlock the same power and use cases that you can with regular OpenClaw. And you do that by just going to KiloClaw here on the left-hand tab. So you can also just go to app.kilo.ai/claw if you want to go directly to creating a claw. I just showed you how to get to the dashboard so you know where to add credits, which I'll explain in a minute. I'll paste that in the chat as well. And this is what you'll see when you go to set up your first ClawShop. So it's going to ask us what we want to name our bot. Maybe we'll name it ClawShop bot. That's so creative, isn't it? And then we'll give it an avatar, maybe the magic wand here. You can kind of shape its personality a bit. We'll stick with operator because I like the objective kind of thing. We'll use our location. So this lets us know where we are. Close. I'm actually on the Upper East Side of New York, which is right next door, right over across the river from Astoria. So good enough. We'll continue. Excuse me. And then it gives us the option to set up a chat channel. So the way you communicate with your OpenClaw agent through ClawShop. So again, it's an AI agent that's always on. It's on 24/7 in the cloud. Is by chatting with it through a chat channel, which you can use Telegram, Discord, Slack. We're going to skip this for now because there's also a native built-in ClawShop chat. So you can chat with your agent right here from the ClawShop dashboard. But a lot of people like to use Telegram so that you can, message it from your Telegram app on your phone and whatnot. You can be anywhere and go ask your agent to start doing things on your behalf. And we make it really easy to connect these channels. It's much more of a manual process on vanilla OpenClaw. But here it just instructs you on exactly how to get a token from Telegram. So like an API token essentially that opens up the communication between ClawShop and Telegram, and it gives you instructions. Then you just paste your token here and it would connect Telegram for you. We're going to skip that again. As I mentioned, has a native chat. It's already set up here, so we can open it. And here we have our chat instance, and we can go ahead and start chatting to our bot. Before I do that, I'm gonna jump over to the settings page so I can explain a little bit more about what's going on here. So this is kind of like the control panel for ClawShop. It tells you the information about the machine, so we can see it's running. Another tricky thing about vanilla OpenClaw that a lot of people run into issues with is upgrading. So for those who don't know, it's an open source project, so anyone can contribute to it. There's basically daily updates to the official OpenClaw project. And upgrading it can, if you're not careful, can break some things. It can damage some workflows. It might not go smoothly. And we also manage that for you through ClawShop. So anytime you want to upgrade to the latest version of OpenClaw, you can just click upgrade to latest and then redeploy. And it'll take a couple minutes and then you'll be back up and running with the latest version with nothing broken. You can also change the AI model here. So Kilo is model agnostic. The whole platform is model agnostic, which means we'll never lock you into one model, and pretty much any model you can think of is available through Kilo, and you can switch at any time. We have some auto routers, which means it switches dynamically based on the task between a select group of models. So we have one for the frontier models, which are like the best, most powerful, but probably most expensive models in the world, which includes like Claude Opus and Sonnet. We have Balance, which are still paid models, but maybe a little bit more cost effective, maybe not quite as powerful from a reasoning perspective, but definitely good enough for most tasks. And then we have Kilo Auto Free. We always try to have a free model available in Kilo. So this just dynamically switches between what's ever free in Kilo. So you can just leave, if you want to use Frontier models and you want to make sure you're always on the latest Frontier model, you can just select Auto Frontier and it will make sure that it's dynamically switching between the latest, greatest thing. If anyone is, deep in OpenClaw, you might want to turn on some of these features like vector search and dreaming. That might sound like a foreign language to someone who's not super technical, and I don't think you have to worry about it if you're not. But vector search basically uses semantic search across the memory files in OpenClaw so that the memory recall is maybe a bit more organized and efficient. And dreaming is this new interesting OpenClaw feature that the team added that basically consolidates memory while you're offline. So one thing about OpenClaw is that it maintains a running memory of both you itself and all of your interactions. So dreaming kind of does some background optimization of that memory while you're offline. Excuse me. Got a little cough today. The default permissions here chooses how your bot handles actions. So I recommend allowing everything because, again, this is an agent that's not on your local machine. It's out in the cloud. It won't have access to anything that you don't explicitly give it access to. And you don't, I think it's a poor experience to have your agent asking for permission every time it wants to go and do something for you. I think it a little bit defeats the purpose. I understand it if you're dealing with very sensitive data or you give it access to something sensitive. But for most use cases, I would recommend sticking with allow everything. And then the fun part is that we have added all of these channels, all of these quick connects to some popular services that you might want your bot to have access to. So you can connect to Telegram, Discord, and Slack so that you can chat with it wherever you prefer to chat, talk to your agent. We also have some search options here. So we have a guest from Exa that's coming on later, which is really cool technology. They both allow agent API search. Exa is like super fast, millisecond fast search that's built just for agents. We also have some developer tools, GitHub and Linear, and these, when you click on these, it instructs you exactly how to connect these things. We have Agent Card, who we have a guest coming to talk about in a little bit here, which allows you to give your bot a debit card so that it can spend money and maybe help you run a business or however else you're thinking of having your agent spend money online. There's a password manager and then Google account, of course, so that you can give your bot its own Google account. And I recommend really strongly, anytime you're adding an account like GitHub or Google or something that has the power to post externally, whether it's sending an email, a contributing code, give your bot its own brand new account. So you're going to want to give it its own GitHub account, its own Google account, so that it's almost like a junior employee. The same way when you hire someone, you'd give them your own account, and then you'd maybe give it read access or for email forwarding to your emails, so that it can help you manage your inbox without actually being able to send emails and commit code on your behalf. So that's just one piece of advice I'd give everybody. But this is all to say the beauty of OpenClaw and ClawShop is that it's in a format that we all understand and know and love, which is chat. But it does so much more than chat. And the way you actually, create a use case, the way you create a workflow. And I've had people come up to me and be kind of confused about this. They assume that they have to go out and set up all of these other automations and integrations to make it work. You just chat the use case into existence. KiloClaw, OpenClaw understands itself. It knows where to look to download skills. It knows where to look to get access to other platforms. And if it doesn't have access, it'll tell you exactly what it needs to get access. So you can just actually chat these use cases into existence. So we'll just say hi real quick. And there it is thinking. Well, maybe we'll give it a second to respond. And I know we're coming up on our first session at 11:30. We have a very special guest here. And I'm just going to quickly show you, while it's typing a response to us, something I think is pretty cool that I built on top of OpenClaw and KiloClaw rather. So I'm on the marketing side of Kilo. So a lot of what I do is writing blogs, creating content, hosting great sessions like this, hanging out with all of you. Kind of all that general content and product marketing stuff, like helping with, social strategy, newsletters to email newsletters, etc. A lot of what I did for that used to be manual. Like one thing have to keep up with the industry. So I would be reading X and blog posts and newsletters every morning myself. My email inbox was cluttered with them. I'd be drafting the newsletter manually, designing the HTML, making it look pretty, all of that stuff. Also paying attention to my inbox all day. Running content campaigns, making sure that I have all the latest information on that, doing outreach to, partners and creators that might want to work with us and teaching them about our technology. Basically, I built, and I'm teasing this now. I'll run through it again later if anyone's interested at the end of the workshop. But I built this dashboard that is a bi-directional dashboard so that my KiloClaw agent knows how to speak to it. It's hooked up to a Supabase database backend in the cloud. And now every morning, my bot does all of those things I just mentioned. So it's reading all of these X accounts, these blog posts, these inputs from my email, from my Slack, and it's autonomously generating end-to-end marketing ideas and deliverables. And it's posting them to these boards, to this board I made so that I can stay organized. So for example, every week we send a newsletter. We try to make it valuable to the readers by offering, some technical instructions to build something, some industry news, alerts to events like this. And if anyone signed up to the email, you might recognize this. It generates this with the HTML it knows I like through the GitHub account that I gave it access to. It pulls from all of the sources I used to pull from manually, and it autonomously organizes this newsletter so that I can just copy and paste it into our newsletter system and send it to all of you. Obviously, I do some quality control and some tweaks here and there, but it even like generates and shows me this rendered HTML, which I think is pretty cool. And that's just one little facet of this board I built on top of ClawShop, which I'll explain more thoroughly later, because it's time for our first guest session. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and welcome a very special guest here and another Kilo team member, Boji from byteplus. How's it going, Boji?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for joining us. I know it's late where you are, so maybe you could first tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you're located, and then we can kick it off.
Yeah. Thanks. My name is Bojie. You can call me Bo, just for easier pronunciation.
Okay.
I'm actually managing the solution team for AI products at ByteDance. We are actually the B2B platform from ByteDance Group called byteplus. I'm usually based in Singapore, but at this moment, I'm actually in Seoul, in Korea. Just travel for work. Yeah.
Nice. I love Seoul. I visited there a couple years ago, and it's one of my favorite cities. So I hope you're having a good time.
Yeah, we actually just had our AI Day event today in Seoul.
Okay, cool. Very fun.
Yeah.
So also I want to give a lot of appreciation and thanks to you for joining, because I know it's 12:30 a.m. where you are. Is that right?
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much. I'm glad to have you here. I'm sure our audience is excited to hear from you. And we have Ari here from the Kilo Partnerships team. If you want to give a quick intro about yourself, Ari.
Yeah, sure. Happy to be here. I think Boji joining proves that AI never sleeps. So, they're one of our favorite Model Lab partners, and really excited to kind of dive in.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd love if you could kind of share with us a little bit about the work you do, Bo, and like what exactly you're working on, what you're thinking about when you're building things, and kind of give us a little bit more context about that.
Sure. First of all, just to give a bit of sharing on what I do day to day in my role, we are the solution role itself. We are kind of like half sales, half technical.
Right.
So on the sales side, that we actually need to kind of research about the market, especially on different kind of AI models, who they are using, what kind of customers we can potentially work with, and then try to figure out how to reach out to these customers with contacts, right? That's a non-technical and more sales and marketing work. The other half of it is more on the solution side with our own product, especially the models. How do we actually build things into a cool demo to actually demonstrate how models could be leveraged, right? For various use cases, we actually would be talking to the customers. So given that background, how I use Claw, right, or these agents in my daily work, a lot of times people actually thought I would be using the Claw for writing code for preparing the demo, which is true. That's what I do. But there are more often, I use Claw to do non-technical things. I'll give some quick examples, right? I actually do lead generation with OpenClaw today. So I have 6 steps, which I've kind of gradually, optimized and tested, right, with my Claw. Starts from social listening, try to figure out what people talk about AI, right, from different companies, and try to find the people that maybe will be the most interesting contact points I could reach out to. And then about what I should say in front of them, right?
Yeah.
How to introduce our product related to their situation. And then how to prepare a new demo just to show them. We also use Claw to kind of create a demo video for them, right? And then try to kind of just set up a calendar. The calendar, I actually used the OpenClaw to write a simple front end kind of calendar app backend is, I think it's Calendly, if I'm not mistaken, and just let them easily book my time, right? And then we just go on a call where we take notes, and then we finish the call, and from the AI summarization of the notes, we can kind of figure out what to do next, etc. So that is actually a kind of end-to-end cycle of doing the sales part of the work, right? There are many other things we're also doing during the daily work. Like we also use Claude just to, like for myself, I have like probably like 40 to 50 channels right now on Slack, and plus hundreds of channels on Lock, which is our internal tool. It's just impossible for me to go into all the channels and read all the messages, right? There are hundreds messages I need to kind of look at, which I don't really look at, by the way. So the only way is like let Claude actually read some of the messages and help me summarize what's going on, and then I will figure out like where to go in and then read some context and then just reply. So there's a lot of things going on right now, and I'm still trying to figure out more and more of the daily work I'm doing that I can, automate or semi-automate with Claude.
Is the sort of outbound lead gen stuff, did you give that Claw its own identity and its own email, or is it just sort of attached to your own?
Right now, it's
Is
attached.
it a separate entity or not?
It is the same entity. I guess I'm probably brave enough just to give access to the bot. How I do it, just a quick intro. Basically, with the Seed 2.0 Pro model I'm using, it's actually quite good in browser use and computer use. So for that particular task, I use Claude on my local laptop. So I can actually operate the browser to use my LinkedIn profile and kind of reach out and send messages or just look up some of the contacts. If I don't need to do that step, I can actually run the Claude on the cloud as well, right? Like using Kilo Claude. Then I just need to, basically I can do things like search up the contacts, right? And do the social listening just to analyze all these posts going on in LinkedIn, in X, and then summarize into a document as in, okay, what they have been talking about on AI and what kind of product they're releasing. And those things do not really require much browser use, then it's fairly easier to just go onto cloud.
Yeah, so you basically reduced your manual footprint on the sales cycle to just being in the call, essentially.
Exactly. Exactly. And it has not been easy because I think at the first time when I was trying to do it about a month ago, I was thinking like, okay, OpenClaw is just gonna help me automate everything at once, but it didn't happen. There was a bit of learning curve because the learning curve was mainly on my end. I need to kind of sit down and think through like what are the individual steps I'm actually doing as a human, right? Because I was actually going to X and LinkedIn to look up company names, find out some posts they have shared, what they're talking about, find who posted it, and then look into their profile, try to send a message, right? So that was exactly what I was doing, and I was doing it manually. Then I need to kind of gradually write down some instructions in a structured manner, as in, okay, take these steps and try to do it. And then when it works, I build a skill, and then the skill will be more stabilized for the Claude to run time to time to do more of the work gradually.
That's awesome. And then from the lab side, like, is there anything for Seed Pro, et cetera? Like, are you considering the fact that people are adopting these personal AI agents, and are you, thinking, is the team thinking about that when training the model?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I think OpenClaw went viral just since beginning of February.
Yeah.
There was a time I think we already released a seed model in China, but we haven't released in international market yet.
Okay.
We actually purposely added OpenClaw into our benchmarking system. So we've created our own benchmark with various tasks, real agentic tasks, right, to evaluate how seed will be performing there. I think this will continuously being the part of it, because right now agentic benchmarking is no longer like the simple benchmarking we used to do, like with question answer pairs, right? It's like end-to-end kind of a flow of doing something, and we check the trajectory and check the result, and then we need to evaluate the trajectory together with the result as well, and see whether seed model is thinking thoroughly and giving the right output even in the thinking process about what it is doing.
Yeah, makes sense. I guess it's kind of switching gears a little bit. What are some of the more common mistakes or things that you see professionals doing when they first try to integrate AI into their actual workflow? So obviously you're a power user, you've automated a big chunk of your work, but for people that are still new to AI or wondering whether they should adopt it into their workflow, what's some advice you could give or some pitfalls to look out for?
Yeah, my personal advice is quite simple. First is that do it from easy to difficult level. So step by step, not just to don't hope that things will just be fully automated at once. I don't think it's possible. It takes time for us to collaborate with the agent, right? That's one tip. The second tip is that don't give up so quickly or so easily. I've seen many people who was very excited about OpenClaw, other types of agents, use it 1 day or 2 days and say, oh, look, it doesn't really do something I was thinking that it could do.
Right.
I just stopped using it. That's the most common mistake I've been seeing. I think it's actually a time where great for many people to learn how to collaborate with agent. The agent has not reached a point to replace human yet, in my opinion. It's actually a good time. We need to learn to collaborate, just like if we have a new member on board in the team, how you and him or her will be working together.
Right.
It will take you probably months to work together well, right? But I think for the human and the agent to work together well, maybe it takes you a couple days to a week or so. Then you get the bot to work more and more productivity work for you, right? And then you will do more with it as well. That's also my personal journey, even though I have been using some of the models for vibe coding for a very long time, but trying to figure out how to do things that are considered as non-technical, but using this kind of solution, it's actually not that simple or easy. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the not giving up part is especially key, especially when it comes to ClawShop, OpenClaw. Like I know that from my perspective, the first time I was really all in invested in ClawShop wasn't really till after I automated my first working use case, and at that point I was sold. But there's definitely, like it helps to have the fundamentals down first, like you said, to start small, start with some basic things like maybe helping clear out your inbox or summarize your inbox, and then once you get kind of a look at what it can do for you, you can continue from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting time in the industry. It's just making me think about how, I think we're now at the point where most people have used some sort of AI tool. Maybe it's just they've chatted with ChatGPT or something, but everyone knows that the models all have kind of a different personality. But then, so when you come to something like ClawShop, OpenClaw, like you have to approach the agent with the understanding that like it's going to take time to build the relationship and understand kind of how the agent thinks. I think the other great thing about OpenClaw is that obviously you can also control the personality
Of course.
to a degree. I mean, that's what the kind of like file set is all about, right?
Yeah. I've been discovering more and more use cases after like last 1.5 months is just getting into Claw. Like one example I can also share, even just on the technical side, I think last year, by end of last year, my team, we were trying to build a model evaluation platform. And I think we spent like thousands of dollars in a quarter using APIs from Claude model just to do vibe coding, right? To write that evaluation website so that we can use it internally to do different kind of model evaluation benchmarking, right? To automate different tasks. That was working, but it was actually not really leading to a high adoption internally because it was a vibe code product with a web portal for people to use, and it was not really that intuitive in the end. This year, since Claw was introduced, we actually quickly abandoned whatever we have vibe code. We use OpenClaw because itself is a good agent with chat interface, right? We just focused on writing a good skill that actually basically we dump all our knowledge and our experience doing benchmarking into that skill and put that with OpenClaw to be an evaluation agent for our internal people to use. And we saw a really great adoption rate because it's very much just conversational experience, while you can actually get into a very deep level of benchmarking different models in different aspects.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess another question I have for you is maybe what are some high ROI use cases for personal AI or just AI in general right now that maybe some professionals that aren't so technical are overlooking that can actually help them even if they're not a developer?
Mm. My view on it is that the most high ROI part will be, first of all, trying to find what is the operational part of your daily work or your daily life, right? I think for every single one, there will be a routine, you and me, right, doing every single day. And likely we are probably doing it manually. Try to figure out what this part is, and then think about how to break it down into individual steps that are easier to conquer, and then try to use Claude to do some of the steps, right? See the results, and then connect them together, and then it will be working great. That is what I've been kind of seeing how things work. Again, for myself, lead generation, issue investigation and summarization, that is literally things I do every single day anyway. So getting Claude to help me to do that, even when it's not 100% automation, I think it's to a point, it's like 80% automation. It's actually a lot of value to me, right? So that is what I see, like finding the routine work to be gradually replaced or done by the bot itself.
Yeah, and then what do you like? How do you give the bot the institutional knowledge or context that it needs to do the job? So a brand new OpenClaw won't know anything about you or the company, and you're trusting it to go out and generate leads and talk to leads. So what's the best way to give the agent that institutional context?
That's a great question, and I think this is probably the part where the whole industry is still working on in improving the solution, which we will think that how I will think about it is that right now what has been proven to be working is basically using techniques like RAG, or providing additional document, or even baking things into your skill. Your skill contains some of the document link for the agent to read while it's doing some task. I think that is already working. It's been great because basically you can put some of the static information or history information into files or the skill, right, that the agent will understand and then leverages. But the problem is that the agent's memory by default in OpenClaw is basically a simple markdown. And anything that is beyond 24 hours or 1 day, it will be compacted or probably even forgotten, right? So I think the challenging part is the memory part. Can we solve the memory part? I do think so. How to solve it is probably the question. Right now, even from our company, we actually have been releasing some of the open source project dedicated for OpenClaw, just to address the memory problem. So you can actually have something that is built on vector database to kind of store some parts of your events and information, so that you can leverage the agent to remember things for longer term, right? But I guess my guess is that probably toward the end of the year, just based on the progress of the model, maybe the models won't be fully stateless any further. Maybe it will be stateful. Maybe it will have some memory baked into it to remember things. Then we probably have the model with memory, right, being put into the agent to kind of handle this part better and better gradually. This could be one new direction from engineering work to model to solve it.
So would that mean that every institution or individual would have its own personalized model if it was stateful? Just curious.
I can't predict when it will happen, but
Yeah.
my assumption is that it will happen. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like a human brain that when we were just born, it's fresh new, but it's just basically just neural network, right? And
Yeah.
gradually over the time, you start to remember things, and then we became individual, different, people. Yeah.
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 That makes sense. Cool. So another thing is, like, I mean, you mentioned that you are brave enough to trust the agent to work on your behalf, and I'm kind of in that camp too. I know some people are hesitant, but
Mm.
I guess, do you have any guardrails up? Like, how do you make sure that it's acting responsibly, and how do you make sure that it's, you know, staying true to your objectives?
I think for today's session, I actually won't talk too much about the security measures because
Okay.
it's going to be too technical. But I guess the
Yeah.
interesting part, I think, like everyone can apply, is on how to use Claw in a safer manner. First of all, what I do is that I do not only have one Claw, I actually have multiple, and I use different Claw for different environment or different purposes.
Right.
For instance, one thing I will definitely do is that I will separate the Claw I'm using for work from the one I'm using for daily life. I have a Claw basically just help me to do very simple things in life. Like when I'm traveling in Korea, I don't speak Korean language, by the way. Going to restaurant, I scan the menu and let the agent just tell me what I want to order, right? It's actually fairly simple task that I can do with OpenClaw. I should do that every day now in this week.
Yeah.
But at work, I will be using the Claw more carefully. And I'll also think about, again, like what kind of data points, what kind of information I'm feeding into it, and how much permission I'm giving to the Claw in the end, right, to do different things. Honestly speaking, it may not be like so-called 100% so-called secure or safe. I don't think it's really there yet.
Yeah.
But also, it does not prevent me from using it for really, good value. Oftentimes, that's actually another mistake I think many people make, right? Oftentimes, when we think too much on security level and we just worry so much, you just stop using it, and basically you lose it all, which I don't think is a good approach either.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, I am, friends with one of the early OpenClaw maintainers, and he has a good analogy for that exact sentiment, which is that using these tools is like if you're in a horse race and you strap on a rocket booster to your horse, like it's going to be a rocky ride, but you're going to end up 20,000 feet ahead of everyone else. And I think that's kind of the same sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And product-wise, I believe that actually we've been doing quite some work on making the Claw type product to be safer and more secure over the time. For instance, we actually have product to just scan the prompt going into the agent before it's getting executed, right? So you can actually detect what is malicious and then stop from there. And the models are also evolving to a direction where it starts to do reasoning to detect whether something is malicious or insecure. If you can do a reasoning to predict what's going to happen and then stop there, that's great. That's actually a new direction of the model research as well to move into.
Cool. I guess my last couple of questions kind of relate to some of the, I guess, hesitations or concerns people have about AI in general, which is that how do you think about using AI as a multiplier of your work and of a productivity multiplier versus replacing your personal skill development?
That's a good and difficult question.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, sometimes I also worry about what I'm doing will be replaced. But then I think I have a new idea now. Like maybe I guess I have to admit maybe 70% of what I've been doing in the past every day should be replaced because again, it's routine. Like I guess it's not really like the enjoyable part of the job, right? In the end, like anything or most of the jobs we are doing, I guess 60% of it is just routine. We are just too used to it and we don't think about it anymore, right? But now there's something better that can help you do it. You get more time. Think about what is something more creative and interesting you can work on that potentially could generate more value. Of course, if you cannot find it, that's a problem, right? So for human, I think it's the mission is to find what is the next interesting and innovative thing, or it's just novel for us to try out. I think that's the nature of human being, right? So for me, for instance, I used to be spending time just summarizing issues. If we have a new model release, like the first 2 weeks is gonna be so hectic because there's so many issues or reports we need to handle, right? But now I actually don't spend that much on it because I got so many channels all connected. I can just summarize easily. So I spend more time trying to find interesting startup companies that I can connect and speak with. And I have ways to, just find out more information about them more quickly. so I can talk to more of them within a short amount of time. That actually helped me to build up or improve my knowledge in a new industry. I guess in the past, people say the roles like ours, we find a dedicated person just knowing one particular industry. But I don't think that's the case anymore. And if you see how Anthropic has been doing things, right, they have been entering different new industries quickly. I guess it's just like you have so much time now with the AI agent. You can use the time to learn anything you want, and you can learn it more quickly with the agent as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if you're offloading that 70%, then maybe that just means the 30% becomes more valuable in the end, which is the stuff you actually enjoy doing anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll create another 50, 60% for that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I guess my very last question before we move on to our next guest, and I really appreciate you staying up late to be here with us again, is how I think when people think about which model to use, how fast is the capability gap closing between the best model in the world and the next best or good enough model, and how much does it matter which one a team uses?
My experience and opinion on that, I feel that the models are still iterating really fast, especially on the frontier side. And it's probably even accelerating, in my opinion.
Yeah.
However, to everyone's daily life, honestly, again, like majority of the office workers, knowledge workers, starting with OpenClaw or ClawShop, right, to do productivity work, likely most of the tasks do not require the most frontier model because it's expensive, it's slow, and like just daily work, like summarizing things, sending email, visually understanding some graph, right? It does not really require the most expensive model. You don't have to pay a couple dollars to do a simple task. So my suggestion or my feeling is that for most of the people starting to get into agent and use it for daily work, the gap between different models gets smaller and smaller. Most likely, the top 10 models in the world will do majority of the work you have at hand. And you can just try to figure out which model, like Ari mentioned, maybe suits your personality best. And it does particular task very well, and the cost is pretty affordable. That's probably the balance everyone will eventually find. But if you are a superpower user, you were to use Claw so extensively, you run it, like, let's say more than 3 hours a day, and you try to use it really to do a lot of tasks. I think some of the tasks will get into a point where it requires a hundred or hundreds of steps consecutively to complete something. Then you probably need to use the most frontier model, and the gap between the most frontier model versus average model will probably be very big. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Bo. That was really insightful. I learned a lot from you in just this half an hour, and I'm sure our audience did too. So I really appreciate it, and maybe we'll have you on again at some point in the future.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Ari.
Thanks for being here.
Cheers. Bye.
All right, give it up for Bo. That was awesome. Before we bring on our next guest, I just want to share the QR again for anyone who is joining late or just joined. So we have this guide, this workshop accompaniment guide. Accompaniment? What's the right word, Ari? Is that right? A company guide? I'm not sure. Anyway, if you scan this or go to the site kilo.code/cs2, there's a bunch of resources on how to get started with KiloClaw, some starter prompts, some information about our speakers. You can go find Bo's LinkedIn or any of the other speakers' information and follow along with them. I'm just checking the comments real quick. I think we're good. And I want to bring on our next guest, which I'm super excited for. I'm just going to stop sharing real quick. Is Alex.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Alex.
Nice to meet you. I'm Alex. Nice to meet you, Brian. And
yeah, thanks so much
for being here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you're working on. What's Novita? Fill us in on some context about you.
Yeah, very excited to be here and share some of our like personal how we use agent or OpenClaw to in our daily life, and what is Novita AI, what we're currently doing right now. And yeah, I'm Alex. I'm doing a developer relationship, basically same as Brian. And yeah, super excited to be here. And I want to say hi to the chat.
Yeah, chats. There's about a minute delay, so I'm sure they're gonna start saying hi in a minute too. But yeah, no, thanks so much for joining. Tell us a little more about Novita. Oh, it looks like there might be a little. I'm gonna bring him.
I think.
Is he paused for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'm just gonna flip him off and back on again. Yeah, I think he's rejoining. All good. I'm gonna check. In the meantime, I'm gonna check some chat here, see if there's any questions. So I saw a question about the CLI, like whether ClawShop can use the CLI or the terminal. Oh, there's Alex. We'll get to that question later. Hey, Alex. Oh,
the connection issue. I'm okay now.
Yeah, you're good. No worries. So
yeah, I prepared a visual, a PowerPoint. So
oh, is he paused again for you? It's all good. Oh, you're back.
Can you see my sharing content?
Yes, now I can. Yep.
Yeah, sure. Oh, sorry, wrong click. So feel free to interrupt if I have like connection issue. I probably don't know. But I will like briefly introduce what is Novita, because just in case some of the chats they don't know who we are, like what we're doing right now. And I'm going to go through a 3 use case, like actual use case I'm using right now. So I was hoping that I can give you some insights and also some feedback, whatever.
Yeah.
So Novita is basically we call it AI native for builders agents, and we have like the slogan. We have models, GPU. We build AI agent in one platform. So basically, right now we have very top models like Queen, Kimi. Yeah, I don't want to like mention everyone, but basically you can find out the most of the open source models. Yeah, that's some of the milestones. I don't want to repeat, and we don't really need that. But we did hit the first place on Hugging Face Open Router. We have some milestone, and I think that is great. And
Nice.
we also provide the sandbox because I saw the question that chats they're pretty concerned about the OpenClaw security. So if you guys are interested, I don't need to like dive into the technical stuff, but if you are interested, you can go ahead and probably do some code exclusion in the sandbox, and you just tell your agent that there is a thing you can exclude anything like securely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have lots of partners. KiloCode is definitely one of it. That's it. I don't want to like. Yeah, I don't want to be sales because we're chatting. I think just wanted to basically introduce the background, and so I'm going to share some of the agents, some of the workflows, and I was actually using, and I think it's pretty efficient. So the first one is outreach pipeline. Like I just heard Brian said something about email managing or the creating the HTML automatically. That kind of pipeline, we're kind of similar because we're both developer relationship.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And so pro tips number 1: if your OpenClaw or your agent workflow is complicated, make sure to build a dashboard. You can just vibe code, use any agent, whatever you want. But definitely make a dashboard, because when your task is complicated, you will like keep asking your agent like, what is going on right now? What is the what is the current status? So as long as you have this dashboard, you can basically just check that virtually. Like you don't have to keep communicating with your OpenClaw or agent, whatever.
Right.
So yeah, that's a little far away. Back to the pipeline, what I am building. So as a developer relationship, we have to keep connecting with the open source builders or the product makers. So basically, you need to find out. That's the first step. And in my use case, I use GitHub API to fetch some of the keywords because our company, we build modal APIs. We have GPU, we have sandbox. So just use those keywords like maybe OpenRouter, because OpenRouter is another. They have the modal APIs as well. So just use those keywords to search on the GitHub or Reddit or whatever, and let the agent to summarize the key target you want to fetch out. So that's the first step. As you can see in this dashboard, I have like some of those we connected, some of those we reach out. It's basically the agent is behind to search, to summarize, and the next step is you have to send emails, right? So in the email stage, I just want to say, always draft. Don't use it in the production. So I just want to share a fun story. I don't know why I did the very strict prompts to let the agent don't send the email by themselves. But it's a weekend. I woke up and find out I sent some emails to the open source to the open source builders, and that email sucks. That email, it's compensated with English, Chinese, Korean, like multiple languages. That's spam. That's basically spam, and everyone hate that. So definitely draft whatever you're using. Don't make it on the production. I think that's a tip too I want to mention.
Yeah.
And back to the pipeline. So after you summarize or the high value or high target, whether it's project, whether it's some sort of open source models, whatever, you drop the email to them, and you are hoping to receive some feedback. And when those builders they're okay, so you can contribute. You can contribute a PR to add Novita as a building providers. You can do that. We're happy, we're welcome, and we can do co-marketing, whatever. So as long as you confirm, like here, it's been connected, you confirmed with your proposal. At that moment, I will dispatch. It's not me. The agent will dispatch a PR using Codex or Cloud Code. But personally, I will use Codex because Cloud Code is expensive. It's for me. It's for human. I don't want the agent to control that and maybe waste your money. But Codex it's very good. They have good models, and it's just personally. So you dispatch those tasks, those PR tasks, and finally, when it's finished, the agent will report to me and share. After that, because you already created a PR. So the next step is we send another email, and we want to mention we will probably sponsor or contribute, or are you guys interested in some sort of hackathon? Whatever, that depends on your use case. This is basically the overall pipeline. And I mean, some of the chat here or you guys here, if you build a single step, it's simple. I mean, I think everyone can let the agent control the GitHub API to summarize whatever. But if you want to make the overall pipeline to fully automatic, that takes time. That takes that need you to like keep debugging, keep optimizing. That's the first use case I want to share. And I hope if there are questions, feel free to interrupt me. I'm controlling the micro right now.
Yeah,
So
I'll let you know if there's any questions in the chat, but that's awesome.
yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
So the next use case I want to share is GitHub PRs. I mean, it's kind of similar to the. It's like a small step, but I divide this task to another agent, because this is the picture that I show you guys. The models that derive. This is the open source database of AI models. Some of the projects use this to fetch the providers to see like which model you have. So as a developer, as Novita, we have to keep updating this database. So we have to like once a new model released on our platform, we need to like submit another PR to keep the database refreshed, keep it because someone in the open code they'll probably use it. So it's an easy task, but it needs human to keep submitting the PRs, to keep auditing those parameters, those like price. It's that's very like for human, it's not very effective. So I built this task specific to agent. Like every single time we upload a new model, you just do the PR, and you need to like keep optimizing the skill. I mean, I think it's maybe like 1 or 2 rounds to optimize it, because this is a simple task. But sometimes at the beginning it will you did something wrong, like the price is not right, like the attributors are not right, like if this model support reasoning or not. So just iterate several times, it's good. And yeah, I will share this with you guys, because there is no human to actually maintain this open source project, but we have agent to help us to maintain. And yeah, that's the second one. A third one is some of you guys are probably not marketing, or you are like technical guys, but SEO is definitely something we need to focus in if you guys have your own product or website. Or so first of all, I have to say I'm not expert in SEO. I just help my colleagues to build some of the automation process automation agent. So in terms of SEO, what I did here is, I mean, every company have your own background or your own SEO logic to kind of to kind of advertising your product. So so here I want to share is the blog. I like Brian just said, UI blogs as well. But I'm pretty sure a different company, they use different backend to upload blogs, to distribute blogs, maybe on Medium, maybe your own website or whatever. So that's also not very efficient for human, because before the agent, before the OpenClaw, we need to write those HTML files, you click that and select this is a heading, this is the title, and we add pictures. That's useless. I mean, not effective for human. But with maybe MCP, maybe scales, or maybe just some endpoint that you can make it into scale. Using that with your own SEO strategy, you can basically automate the overall process. Like let's say blog distribution. You can just configure the public account private keys in your backend, in your OpenClaw, and in multiple platform. And as long as your content is confirmed, let's just distribute. And when you want to create some new content, you can use the MCP files. It's just automatically generated. But make sure to make it draft at the beginning, because we still need human to audit, to keep the good quality. And yeah, that's I'm still not an expert in SEO, but if you config the skills, like let's say your colleague, they understand SEO very well and they know exactly how to do that. So you can talk to them like, let's build a skill, let's build your knowledge into something we can share, and when you can pass that skill to your agent. Let the agent, when they are writing the blogs, they have to write the metadata, write the keywords, anything that is related to SEO or GEO. That thing is supposed to be agent to do, because for human we need to focus on more efficient, more important thing to do. So yeah, I think that's it. That's basically the use case I want to share with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Alex. I really appreciate that. I do have some questions from the chat here, if you're willing to field some of those.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so the first one is, someone said that an invitation, it seems like an invitation code is needed to start an account in Novita. Is that true, or maybe they have the wrong link? Okay. Is that something we can share with the audience? Yeah.
Invitation code. If you don't need any kind of like invitation code to register Novita, it's just, yeah, you can just reach. And by the way, I just want to mention, if you are a new account, you will receive a welcome credit. It's a small credit, but you can use it to test API or whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I saw someone say, is this recorded to be watched later? Yes. This will be on YouTube, and we'll send a follow-up email. But also, I think there's some questions. I wonder, are you able to show us, and it's okay if you can't, because I know it may be security things or whatever. Are you able to show us your dashboard, like your live dashboard, or maybe like
yeah, let me see if it's alive. Just a moment.
Yeah, and I think, this is really cool stuff. I think it'd be cool to see kind of like what it looks like in practice. And again, if there's things that you can't share, I understand, but just
yeah, just a moment. Let me open this.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll just say, while we're going, it's been pretty cool. We're kind of getting deep into the technical layers, but Novita is one of our main providers behind the scenes of the models people are using every day in the Kilo gateway. And then, so basically Novita is one of the reasons that we have so many models available in ClawShop. So it's cool to see, just personally, it's really cool to see like how you're using agents to manage the PRs related to all those models.
Yeah, here we go. So this is I even have some sort of metrics to to keep something I can briefly understand. So this is the matrix, and we got the board. If you want to check the details, go ahead. I built this details. You want to check it out. This is basically kind of like case by case. If you guys have your own, target, it should be different. And I have several different, because if you want kind of like, if you want to use OpenClaw to manage multiple tasks, I would recommend you build a sidebar like me. I add another task place to kind of like do some daily things. I cannot scroll down this.
That's okay.
Probably something.
Yeah.
And I got another feed, but I didn't really up this well because it's just a personal idea.
Yeah.
But I think you guys can build your own feed. It's basically RSS. You can use RSS. You can use API endpoints. You can use maybe Twitter endpoint. Maybe let's say you follow Kilo code. You want to know what is Kilo speaking currently. So you can add some area. You use the Twitter API to fetch the Kilo code. What those guys are doing right now. Yeah, that depends on you. Pretty much customized.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So just to kind of clarify, like how you set this up. So it's, so for anyone asking, like if there's to demo how to build such a thing, I think I'm gonna do a demo of how I built my dashboard. And cool to see that someone else is doing something similar in a different setup. So for anyone like interested in putting something like that together, Stick around till the end of the session because I'm going to go through mine. But to clarify, it's basically just like you vibe coded a website with some API endpoints or some database endpoints, right? And then your Claw knows how to fill that databases, and then it just populates on your screen essentially, right? Yeah.
Right.
So if that still sounds like a go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to jump in because you're probably jump into a rabbit hole if you're building if you're not you don't have the technical background.
Right.
Just keep it simple at the beginning. Let's say if you want to build a dashboard, just keep the data source just a single JSON file. You don't need SQLite, you don't need database, just maybe a markdown file. That doesn't matter. Just keep it simple at the beginning, so you won't be frustrated. Why this is not working, why this is bad.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like someone said, Brian, you're just teasing us to stay till the end. Maybe I am. Is there anything wrong with that? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, like the basis of it is that instead of the traditional back and forth you have with a Claw or OpenClaw, the dashboard is like you can have multiple conversations happening at once, and you just vibe coded a website so that it knows where to put those conversations. And I mean, again, if you're not technical at all, that's going to still be a challenge at this point, and you can still accomplish the same thing by just chatting with OpenClaw. But it's probably a lot easier than you think, as Alex mentioned. Like if you keep it simple, if you just have like pull up Kilo app builder, which is like like Lovable, if anyone's familiar with that, or something similar, you can spin up a website, just tell it what you want it to do, and you probably end up getting there. And I'll show you how I did mine. But yeah,
another interesting is once you really dive into this, whether it's dashboard or you're like automate your workflow, you just kind of like you keep doing that. Let's say the dashboard right now is just it's some tasks or the information feed. But you can also do something like the weather, or your home information, like the air condition. You want to control it in your dashboard, or you can control a PC. The idea is just prompt out, like because generally, like the special part about OpenClaw is it will contains all of the context that the agent needs. Your personal file, your the API fetch. They can use a browser or something. So yeah, that's a magic.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I am curious. I've been kind of I'll be asking everybody this, but what are some like mistakes or misconceptions that people have about using AI at work or adopting AI in general that you think maybe aren't true or are misleading?
Yeah, I think the key opinion that I really want to share is don't let AI to control the overall workflow. Because while I was building the GitHub pipeline, the pipeline just show you, there will be so many issues, and every time if you put a long context to agent, it will probably, even though it's the best model, it will probably use the wrong tool, use the wrong context to give you some wrong answer. So I would say, I mean that's my own opinion. Keep the dynamic scene to static. Like if you want to if you want to fetch the GitHub repos, you want to fetch the product repos, just write a script. Let the agent write a script. Don't let the agent to web search when the next time you give the comment. Find some builders or from they're doing something. Don't do that because script works better. It's just code. Yeah. So just keep this dynamic to static, so your workflow will be more reliable and stable.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think something we say at Kilo a lot is that like the AI will be a multiplier of your like creative and your creative direction as the human in charge. So you don't want to forfeit that necessarily. You just want to offload all of the manual tasks that don't require that direction or that insight, so that you can focus on that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess if the last question is if there's anything you want anyone to know about Novita, about AI, about some interesting thing about AI, leaving it open to you to give one last word.
Yeah, I think the most of the guys they know Novita because of Model API, because we have basically a lot of top models on our platform. But I just want to say we also have GPU cloud. We also have sandbox for training training models. So I just want to say maybe we didn't marketing on this, but we do have that kind of feature if you guys want to try. And yeah, I just and I think it should be today. It should be launched right now.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you guys know that there's a new model. It's Lean. It's Lean to Flash. Lean to Flash. We also launched with Kilo Code. It's free, and it's launched on Novita platform. But right now, today, we have another strong model. It should be one T parameters. It's also lean model, and it's free. And yeah, I just want to mention that message. If you guys wanted to use it or whatever, go ahead and try.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, go check out the new free Novita model on Kilo or wherever else. Alex, thanks so much for joining us. That was super helpful and insightful. I'm excited to have you on at maybe another future ClawShop.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thanks,
Bye-bye.
chat.
All right, cool. Before we bring on our next guest at 12:30, I just want to run it back to our company guide and make sure that everyone has the materials to follow along with the event. I'm going to take Ari off here. All right, I'm just going to share my screen. Give me one moment. How's everyone feeling in the chat? I see a lot of familiar faces, so it looks like some people have been here the whole time. And just to give you some to tease you about what's coming up, we have a very special guest, Ellie Renai, who's a designer and developer, who's going to talk about how he's using the Claw in his workflow. We have the team from the Agent Card, and then Jonah, if anyone is here from the previous webinar, Jonah from Exa, which I'm really excited about. So I'm just going to share this QR one more time here. Okay, so if anyone's joining late, if anyone missed this is a resource guide to follow along with the workshop. So you can scan this to have access to some starter prompts for Kilo Claw, which will help kind of get your agent off on the right foot and start up some simple use cases. We have a recipe book. If you scroll down the page that this brings you to, there are some Kilo Claw recipes, use cases. There's a repo of about 800 of them that you can start spinning up today. There is a link to our pinch bench benchmark that the great Brendan O'Leary from our team created to benchmark how different models perform in the Claw, and some other great resources about our speakers today and who they are and where you can find them. I'm going to read the chat here. Yeah, and I hear your comments about more demos, and I'm loving that you're into that stuff, as I mentioned. And as George in the YouTube chat called me out for, I'm teasing that till the end. I'm going to show you all how I built my daily operator dashboard on top of the Claw. But without further ado, I'm going to be calling on our next guest, who is Ellie Renai. And Ellie, thanks so much for joining us. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm super excited about this. I think it'd be great to start by just giving some insight about who you are and what you're working on and how you came to find Kilo and be on this call.
For sure. So I'm Ellie Rene. I'm based in Toronto, Canada. I am a developer, mostly on the front end. I have a background in user experience design as well. And yeah, I guess I've been playing with AI for the past few years, starting with GPT, chatbots, and obviously getting deeper and deeper into building with them. So
Yeah.
yeah, so obviously, I definitely heard about OpenClaw when it first got released, and I was actually in Malaga, and I caught a workshop that you guys gave. So that's how I learned about Kilo, and saw that you were doing something with KiloClaw. So that's how this all came together. I actually initially wanted to use it because I was building I was building an app for daily habits, like daily meditations.
Okay.
And I thought, it's really difficult to market these things. So I thought maybe I could use KiloClaw as a marketing tool.
Right.
But when I started, when I got it and I started to use it, I was like, maybe I had an idea, because I decided to do High Rocks. And if anyone's familiar or not familiar with it, it's like a very, very challenging fitness race where you have to like run and do all these different events, like farmers carries and ski rig and rowing. So I thought, I was listening to like YouTube channels of other High Rocks athletes, and they were talking about the importance of tracking. So I thought maybe I should just start, maybe I should figure out a way I can use Kilo to track my workouts. And what ended up occurring was we built an app together, and I'm now using it daily and refining it daily to give me more insight into my performance and help me with, I guess, staying motivated, I would say. For this October race I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Would you? I mean, it's okay if not, but would you be able to share your screen and kind of show us that?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
I know the audience is really interested in like the hands-on demos, and this is an interesting use case because I think a lot of people are only thinking about AI from professional or like casual. It's like very much the audiences I'm seeing develop are like people that use ChatGPT to get a quick answer, and people that are all the way in the weeds. And I think at work, and I think stuff like this is a really underexplored use case. So
yeah, cool. So I think, and I would like to say, as I talk through it, that a lot of the stuff that's being built is being built because I have ideas of how I should improve or track things as I go, like on the daily, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I when I have ideas, I just message Kilo to build it, and then it keeps pushing, makes those changes. So this is the homepage where it tells me my status. I actually wear an Oura ring, which tracks my sleep, and I use Strava to track my workouts. So I actually connected to the Oura API and the Strava API, and that gives me my like status for the day of like how much I've slept, and we're working on an algorithm to see my readiness for the race. So I don't really understand what this 76 represents, but I think what I've talked about with Kilo is like we'd revisit this every like week or 2 weeks and see like how I'm feeling versus like what these numbers actually mean. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so I said I wanted to like make this algorithm to kind of track things. It's giving me like a countdown to the race. I also put like this, like how many hours are left, just for fun.
Yeah.
And it made a graph here as well of like just like what, if I'm improving, to see my trends. And this is like my week. So like I've got like a bunch of things that I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to recover. I'm supposed to run. I'm supposed to like go to these, classes and do these endurance classes to keep going. So
yeah,
that's
so cool.
Every time I do them, it gives me a check mark. and then I started also giving it my nutrition. So what I've been asking, because the nutrition is difficult.
Wait,
for
sorry,
me,
real quick, Ellie, could we
yeah,
zoom in
yeah,
like a couple marks just so
yeah,
that we can see the dash a little bit better?
sure.
I think if you just do Command plus or a couple times, something like that. Yeah, perfect. Thanks. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure.
No. It's all good. So yeah, I put it like a fuel status here, like, because that's another important thing about training. When you're working so hard, you almost like forget if you're like eating enough, which can affect your performance.
No doubt.
So it's just, like, and how I'm using it. I've created an app, obviously, but I'm more like communicating it with it in Discord. So I'm telling it like, log my dinner, like this is what I ate, and it just updates the back end. Or like I just finished my workout and I just message it, which makes it like a little bit easier for me to keep track or to keep up with, like, because then you have to open the app and then you have to log it, and then it's just like this is a little bit easier. So it's quite interesting.
Can I ask, like, how I think this could be helpful for the audience? Like, how did you actually set this all up? Because I know for my dashboard, like a lot of it was just prompting the agent. Is that kind of what you did? Is how did you, maybe you could walk us through like how exactly you connected Strava and Aura and like got that all hooked up? And it doesn't, if you can't share everything, that's fine. But
I'm happy to share everything. So awesome. I made it like a check-in page. And I literally asked the agent, like, oh, I want to connect Aura, and it was like, oh, it's easy, just create it. I read the docs, and all you need to do is just create an app on their site. So I created an app, and then it said, we created the. I just needed the credentials for the key. And then we just put it, I'm hosting this on Netlify. So it just said, put it in the EMV files. All those credentials, and we're good. And I'll sync it up every single morning. Or if it doesn't work, if the sync doesn't work, we just made a button that syncs it. And the same was for Strava. You just needed to create an app, and there was no cost to it in any way. Like it's interesting because you have all these like services out there, but I think what is interesting for this kind of use cases is like, how do you bring in those services or those things to do the thing that you want to learn about for your own body, because they're separate. Like, okay, I slept well, but what does that really mean for anything? Like, I have energy during the day, but like, do you know what I mean? So
like connecting all of the different pieces into something cohesive.
Exactly, and then it also is data from you. So it's like it doesn't mean that the agent is hallucinating, really, because it's representing, the sensors that you wear, or that's how I'm trying to see it, like that. So it's like a clean data idea.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then I do think, like, I mentioned this at the very beginning of the call, so if anyone's joining later or missed it, I think there's some intimidation about KiloClaw, OpenClaw in general, which is like, people understand how powerful it is. They understand the basis of it and the main idea of what it can do, but they assume that they assume that there's going to be like a ton of dramatic technical setup to get a use case going. And I have to kind of remind people, like, actually, you can just chat these use cases into existence. Like, you don't necessarily have to do a ton of technical setup. You don't have to be an integrations expert. You just have to follow instructions from the bot occasionally, and then just tell it what you want. And just occasionally you have to remind it to write stuff down and to remember to do things, but rarely. And I think that's what's really powerful about it. Is like, you do not need to be technical to set up like an intelligent AI powered fitness dashboard.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Is there anything else interesting you want to show off about your dashboard? Because I think it's
I think one of the things that I think what is interesting is that one of the when I began the talk, I was talking about like how difficult it is to get like ideas out or market your app once you've creation is easy, but like the mode is like getting people interested. So this is something that I just asked Kilo to do. I was like, hey, like I want to build confidence on camera, like to talk about my project and come up with these ideas. So it gave me these prompts of like everything I can do, like what's tomorrow's focus, how my body feels, maybe something I can do on YouTube where I could start building an audience around this and the app. So I think that's something that's like I think pretty unique. Like as you have ideas that are kind of outside of what the scope of the app would do, you can just add it to it. And obviously this is just for me, but yeah, I found this pretty interesting. It's like and I also found interesting, like it can be a daily, what's the word? Like you're iterating over the ideas. You have new ideas of how you can improve things, and you can make those changes very quickly. And that's it makes it feel like personalized software.
100%. And I think another key value is that it's compounding. Like you mentioned, you set up one workflow, and that workflow is going to can serve you forever, and it's only going to improve from there based on your little tweaks. And like it really isn't an investment. The sooner you get started in building something like this, the more exponential it'll morph into something even more valuable, more exponentially.
For sure. Once you get the ball rolling and you have ideas, like you just continue to have ideas, and it's as you said.
100%. I got some questions in the chat here for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So someone said AI models can be expensive. How are you tackling this? Is it local AI models? So I know it's not local because it's ClawShop. But I don't know how you built this, but for me anyway, for my dashboard, I used frontier models to actually erect the dashboard and build the foundation. And then I switched over to cheaper models once it was up and running. I'm not sure if you've had the same experience.
So I'm obviously familiar with all the frontier models like Opus and Gemini, but I used Kilo had a frontier model as well. It was a ClawShop frontier. So I built that this dashboard initially with that model, and it cost me $50 in credits, which I think is really cheap, to be honest, for you to build an app. And then I switched they have a free model. So anything where I'm just logging my workouts or anything like that, I just use the free model. So I'm not spending credits, and it's not required. Like I don't need to use frontier models just to update a database.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, just to clarify, like I think you're talking about Kilo Auto Frontier and Kilo Auto Free.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, so those are actually like auto model routers. So we don't have our own Kilo model.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it makes sense that you think that, but it's similar. It's an auto router that like just dynamically switches between the latest frontier models like Opus, and then free does the same. Whatever's free in Kilo at that time.
Cool. Yeah.
So
that's how I did it. I used the frontier model to build it, and then free. I go free after that.
Yeah, and so it's been running smoothly on the free tier models.
Yeah, I would say like sometimes it doesn't, it breaks or but I think that I haven't encountered anything because I've set up the infrastructure that I haven't run into problems where I'm like, oh, this is terrible. And if I run into problems, I just switch it and go to the there's a balanced model, which is a little bit cheaper, and then work on that. So I think you just need to play around, but just be conscious of that. You can burn tokens for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you're iterating. Like I don't know. This is done. We did 115 commits on this project, right? So it's a lot of iteration.
Yeah, for sure. I do think like there's something to be said for the fact that if you have good infrastructure set up for the agent, that it makes the free models and the balanced models like way more effective. So yeah, also, is this an app that you're like sharing with other people, or is this just mostly for you?
No, so definitely the plan is to share with other people. I think though that in my experience of now building apps, I think you need to use them a lot yourself to really like test them and see how they work and believe in them. If that makes sense, because you have to get a formula right. And I think that if I can prove this formula or this app is an effective tool, I think it makes the case for opening it up a lot easier, to be very frank.
Yeah, I agree. And then we got one more, which is, I think you already mentioned this, so maybe this is for some late joiners, but what interfaces does this app use? Is it, I mean, you mentioned Strava, Aura, API, Discord, and web interface. Is there anything else?
Firebase for the database, and it's a Next.js app, and that's essentially it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But I think the sky's the limit in terms of like what you can do. Like on the nutrition end, I was like, oh, can I take photos and we can of my food, and then I can analyze it, and then that would be a different process of getting like tokens into that using an API. But we'll take it as we come.
Yeah.
As we go, actually.
I think there's an app for that called Cal.
Yeah, of course there is.
Right. That's another thing I've found about OpenClaw. It's just crazy. Like if you go to the Claw Hub, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's the like official skills repo. So agent skills are basically these documents that teach an agent how to do a specialized action. There's like 50,000 plus. There's like 55,000 maybe. So I've yet to find a use case or a task that there wasn't a skill for already written in the Claw Hub. So yeah.
And I think that speaks to the point, like, obviously there are fitness apps out there. There are millions of them. There's nutrition apps out there. But like, is there one that really is catered towards everything that you have and tying the things that are personal to you in your life? I don't know. Like, I think that's what's special about building with KiloClaw.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's kind of the thesis of why OpenClaw is such like a massive paradigm shift, is because of that personalization. It's like it's not like a service. It's like a brain that can get to know you and act on your behalf.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess another question I have is like, are you thinking of building anything else with OpenClaw? Like, what are some, or are you hearing from other people in your work sphere adopting OpenClaw yet, or are you kind of an early adopter in your universe?
I'm part of like I'm in Toronto, so there's like a bunch of meetups that are doing AI stuff. So I'm definitely seeing and hearing more of it. But I feel like I'm an early adopter in this way still.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but I am like preaching it to like my colleagues or people that I'm around to talk about the benefits, and people are opening up to it. So that's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, cool. I mean, thank you so much for sharing this. It's super interesting. Sure. I think there's some people in the chat already asking about like where they can use it. So if it's ever published, like let me know for sure.
For sure.
You can find Ellie's LinkedIn on the speaker's guide that I posted earlier in the chat. And thanks so much for joining us, man. That was awesome. I think people really are looking for like practical use cases like that. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Talk soon. Thanks, Ellie.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Give it up for Ellie. That was great. We have another guest coming on in just a couple minutes, but I just want to, again, jump over. I'm just going to do this in between every session so that people have all the resources here, which is our guide that I just mentioned. Excuse me. I'm coming down with a cold, so got a little bit of a cough here. But this is the workshop guide. And you can find the guide here at this QR code, kilo.codes/CS2. And this will bring you to the accompanying guide. I'll leave it up for just a minute, which has links to our speakers. It has some starter prompts and give your OpenClaw and a bunch of resources. And I actually see some more questions coming in. So right before we bring up our next speaker, I'm just going to answer these, which are: how much is the lowest price to subscribe to KiloClaw? So KiloClaw is a 7-day free trial, and then it's $9 a month for hosting and compute. So again, KiloClaw is cloud hosted, fully managed OpenClaw. So it's OpenClaw on a virtual machine out on the web, which means there's a fee for hosting that virtual machine, which is $9 a month. And then you just pay for the AI tokens that you use at cost. So whatever model providers charge for AI tokens for inference, you just pay that with zero upcharge from the Kilo side. If you want to use Opus, you just pay for whatever Anthropic charges for Opus. There's always, we try to have at least one free model all the time, so you can use it for free, as Ellie mentioned he's been doing, which is really cool. And we have you can access any AI model, so $9 a month plus whatever you use for AI inference after on top of that. And then I saw a message from Frankie, which is just to clarify, besides building this app, it has nothing to do with OpenClaw anymore. It's just a web app that runs totally on its own now. So that's a good question. And actually, I can answer this on Ellie's behalf because I built a similar dashboard. So it's actually still using OpenClaw as the intelligence layer. So basically, it's a web interface that has a database where OpenClaw can put information and analyze and pull information from. So there's Ellie, which is the user. There's the web interface, which populates the information from the database. So all of his information about his nutrition, the classes he goes to, the miles he's run. It's pulling in all that information from Strava, from Aura, etc. And then there's KiloClaw, which is making decisions and giving advice and analyzing all of that information and chatting back to Ellie about where he can improve and formulating that score. Actually, I think the Strava and Aura APIs are probably pointed at OpenClaw. So basically, the web interface is just a different version of the Telegram chat that everyone's used to with OpenClaw, except there's multiple things happening at once. So that's the basis of that. I asked this before, but since you're on the topic, can you use KiloPass from another Kilo account with KiloClaw on a different email account? That's a good question. I don't think so, but I'm like pretty sure you can't, but I'll check in with somebody and confirm that. I think to pay for the KiloClaw hosting and credits, I think you'd have to have the pass on your on your account that you're using KiloClaw for. All right, cool. So I see our next guest is here, and I'm super excited about this one. I'm going to bring her on stage. So everyone give it up for Karen from Agent Card.
Hi there. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hi, Karen. I'm good. How are you? Thanks so much for joining us.
I'm great. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, of course. I'm really excited about this one because I think this is a topic that's on like a lot of people's minds right now. Is like, one, doing interesting things costs money sometimes, and sometimes you want your agent to be able to do those interesting things. So maybe you could give us kind of some background on who you are, what Agent Card is, and what you're thinking about and working on right now.
Absolutely. I have a presentation. Would that work?
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Should be. Yep, you're good.
Okay, good. So, hi everyone. I'm from the Agent Card team. My name is Karen. I'm one of the founders of Agent Card. You can find me on Twitter/X on the handle that I left right there. And yeah, so actually my plan for today was I would like to start with where all this started for us. Like, why did we create Agent Card? So I actually have a question for you, Brian. Like, have you ever tried to pay for something with OpenClaw?
I have. I have.
What was it?
I used it to, what was it? I used it to like experiment with some ads for like a personal project.
Nice.
Yeah. It was
Great.
cool. I mean, so like for anyone who doesn't know, ClawShop comes shipped with the ability to connect agent cards super quickly. So I've experimented with all the fun stuff, and agent card is really cool.
Thank you. So actually, my use case when I first started using OpenClaw was pretty similar. Like I was trying to automate go to market, and I wanted to just give the agent the ability to pay for things on my behalf. And that made me question, like, okay, so if I want to give my agent the ability to pay for things online, how do I do that? Like, what's the solution right now? And I realized that there was no solution because we are basically all building this space. So what I realized is that if you want to do interesting things or you want to buy things online, most likely what your agent's going to do, whether it's OpenClaw or anything else, it's basically opening a browser, like opening a website and trying to figure out how to complete a checkout. So that is that's the issue. So an agent will try to open the browser, and it will see a checkout like this one, and it will try to pay for it somehow. So what solutions do we have today? So before agent card, like I guess there are probably two things that you can do. The first one is sharing your personal credit card with the agent, which is something that a lot of people do that you shouldn't. And I'm going to share in a little bit like why you shouldn't share your credit card with an agent. And number two, it's you can use crypto. If the checkout that you're trying to pay for, it has implemented X402, then you can probably use crypto. But reality is that most checkouts online still do not implement X402. So the agent basically gets a checkout like this one that we're seeing here and tries to pay for it with a card. So why is sharing a personal credit card with an agent risky? So basically, your credit card can get leaked. LMs should, by default, should never see credit card details. Then number two is that the agent could use the card without your authorization. Like, it would absolutely try to do things like, at least I've seen it do things that I don't want it to do. So I know that it could use my credit card without my authorization. And number three is that most likely your credit card from your bank cannot be limited by amount or merchant. So you don't have as much control with that personal card. So what's the solution here? So agent card is the solution. So basically what we created is a way for an agent to issue one-time cards from a terminal, from an MCP, from an API, from many different places and sources that they can use to pay for things online in a safe way. And these are the three reasons why the agent cards are safer than using your personal credit card. So number one, we create one-time cards. What that means is that after the card gets used, it gets destroyed, which means that even if the card details get leaked or are shared with the LLM or all these things, the risk is not as big because it's a one-time card. So after first use, it just gets destroyed. Number two is that the agent can issue a card from an MCP or CLI, which is something that most likely your bank does not support, I'm guessing. And the third one is that you still need to authorize, as a human, need to authorize card creation and usage. So the agent will send you an email or a message for you to authorize each time it tries to create a card or it tries to use a card. So these are the three main features of the agent card. So how does it work? Just realizing this is extremely small.
That's okay. We can kind of just describe what's going on.
I don't know if I can make it larger. I don't think so. So you basically just create an account from the CLI. You will need to complete KYC. And then from there, you can just say, I want to create a card for X amount. It can be $10, $50, whatever you want. And we will just issue a card. And the agent can use the card after it's created. So it basically takes 3 steps to create a card. Number 1 is to run agent cards create, and the amount you want. And of course, all of this, the agent can do for you. So if you're using this inside Kilo or inside OpenClaw, the agent will just run all these things on your behalf and create the cards. Second is like first time you create a card, you will need to complete a KYC. And the third step is that you attach your payment method. So basically, your real credit card gets attached to this virtual agent card. And when the agent uses the agent card, it just pulls the funds from your real credit card. So your card is safe, but you are still able to keep your agent payment capabilities.
Awesome.
Any questions or thoughts or?
I see some questions in the chat actually, if you don't
Sure,
mind.
yes.
Someone asked if are they able to use the card outside of an agent, which is kind of an interesting question.
Why would you want to do that? Would be my
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm just relaying the question.
The short answer is yes. So these are real Visa debit cards. So absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. And then someone else asked, does it generate 16-digit cards or just Stripe accounts?
I don't know, not sure what they mean by Stripe accounts, but yes, it generates real debit cards, so 16-number debit cards. Yeah.
Right. Someone asked, there's actually a lot of questions coming in. Are you cool
Sure.
with that? Okay,
Let's
cool.
do it, yeah.
Karen, is the KYC different for different countries, or do you use some third party for that?
We use a third party, and it's
Okay.
always the same. Yeah.
Okay. Someone asked, yeah, I think that's actually it from the audience. I have some questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And I also see Felipe's here. Should I bring him on? We can have
Sure.
a little session. Okay, cool. Hey, Felipe.
Hey, how are you?
How's it going? I'm good. How are you?
Good, and you? All good, all good.
Yeah. Karen, are you done sharing your screen too, so I can take?
I have a couple more things, but
Okay.
we can chat while the video reproduces on the background.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious about some of the use cases that you're hearing from people. Like, I think there's a lot of room. Like, people want to be inspired about how they can actually use this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is actually something that we really pay attention to, like how are
Yeah.
people using the cards? And what we see is that people are mostly using it for subscriptions. So from OpenAI to like any SaaS software that you can think of. So yes, our guess is that, and we cannot know for sure, but our guess is that these are people allowing their agents to just buy their subscriptions on their behalf.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I think that's probably what I would guess as well. Is there any, I wonder if there's any super out of the box use cases that you've heard from a few people?
I think that the one that surprised me when we first launched is that people wanted to have cards that were not one-time cards. So for example, if you want to pay for DoorDash or Uber, things like that, you most likely want to always use the same card because the payment method basically gets stored in Uber, and then that's the only way to actually pay for it. So I think that was one that surprised me, the fact that people, it actually makes a lot of sense, right? That people want to use agents to buy DoorDash or things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Another really interesting is allowing your agent to buy resources for its own usage.
Right.
So agents buying like their own compute or buying their own subscriptions to tokens and stuff like that, which is really interesting because it's a flywheel, right?
Yeah.
Where the agent needs the credit card to keep, like, it's like dog fooding itself, right? Like finding the resources to be alive in a way.
Yeah.
So that's another interesting one.
That is really interesting. It's very meta. It's like,
it's very meta.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I actually met a guy at one of the early Claw cons, which was an event that we put on in New York. And he was like, this was way back, feels like decades ago, but it's only about a month and a half ago in early March. So like a month after OpenClaw really took off, he was like, all these practical use cases are great, but I want to see what happens when I give it my Claw access to literally anything it wants and just let it run for a month and tell it to self-improve every day and see what happens on the other end. So I don't know if you knew about Agent Card at that time, but if you did, I would be really curious what the agent would have spent money on.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't mean to interrupt your presentation if you had more stuff.
I think I have maybe one more thing. Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
The bonus track. So if you are a Kilo of this world or a company, you may want to create cards on behalf of users.
Right.
So everything that I just showed is basically for you as an end user to be able to just give a tool to your agent so the agent can create cards. But if you are a company or if you are an OpenClaw provider, you maybe want to give agents, so your users' agents, the ability to create cards. So for that, we have an API. So with the API, you can basically create cards on demand. Flow is exactly the same, but you have a lot more control on how your users are using cards. So this is something that Kilo implemented and that other companies also are implemented. So I just wanted to share that one. And I think that's it. You can start using creating agent cards today. The website is agentcard.sh, and that's it. We also have a free plan, so you can just get started.
Yeah, I have a bunch of questions for you. I hope you're ready.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, I saw one person say that they would use the agent card to purchase human services for their project. And I know that there's some marketplaces out there for it's so interesting where there's agents hiring people to go do things in the physical world. Is that something you've seen with the agent card?
I don't think we've seen that, but maybe we should look into the list of transactions and see like one of those platforms show up. But I don't think so. But it's absolutely yes, that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be like something that emerges even more. It makes sense. Like if the agent has something that needs to get done in a physical location, then they got to make it happen somehow, right?
I agree.
Yeah. I guess my next question would be like, how are you two using either OpenClaw or Agentic AI with Agent Card? Like, what are some use cases you actually do?
Would you like to start, Felipe? I know that you are like a heavy user of OpenClaw.
Well, basically everything. So like when people ask me like what do I do all day long in my computer, I'll say like 90% of the time I am talking with an agent. Yeah. It being like an OpenClaw version or just like Cloud Code or one of the other models out there. And so basically everything. Like I just like whenever I need to use a credit card for paying something, it's just using Agent Card. So like again, like I am not interacting with any website right now as we were doing maybe 1 year ago. Like I no longer use a browser for clicking and buying stuff, but it's just like telling my agents to go and build stuff. So and buy stuff. So yeah, basically I don't remember the last time I entered my credit card in my browser for buying stuff.
Wow, that's wild. I also see some questions here. How do you handle recurring transactions for any subscription?
So we don't handle that use case right now, and we actually have like a solution for that one that we will be releasing very soon. But today you cannot use it for recurrent subscriptions.
Gotcha, makes sense. Yeah, because every card is destroyed after that certain
Yeah.
value, right? Yeah.
I mean, you can use it, but you will need to add like a new card to the subscription like the following months.
Yeah. Well, Felipe, I'm like even more curious, I guess, about your personal OpenClaw usage. Like, can you give us some specifics about what you have it doing for you?
So one interesting one. So I think there's like the business side and the personal one, right? So business side is basically we have a team of engineers, AI coding engineers that are all the time always on listening to support tickets and email notifications, and even like the agent. We have a really cool one that is the agent that is using agent card has access to our agent support. So this is also very interesting. If the agent that is, say, Brian, you're using your agent to create an OpenClaw, an agent card, and for some reason you run into a bug or an issue, your agent card is able to communicate with our agent. Sorry, your agent is able to communicate with our agent, our support agent, to tell him or it what's going on. And so it's an interaction between both agents, where you as a user, quote unquote user, are speaking with our support, and our support is able to talk with our team of agents that are engineers and have like access to our code base and all our best practices and stuff. And it's able to answer questions. And then it's not only where there's only when there's like edge cases, our support agent pings us through Slack saying like, "Hey guys, I need help because I don't know how to solve this." And then not until our human versions go in and solve them. So that's I think one of the most useful ones that we have until now. That doesn't involve like using a credit card specifically. But it's like a way in which we're using them. And now personally, we've been doing a bunch of experiments, but I think the most useful one is buying groceries. So something as simple as buying groceries, which has been since day one of the things that ChatGPT has claimed that you could do and stuff like that. The issue with those flows has always been the payment part, the payment issue. Like, yeah, I can ask ChatGPT to fill out my I don't know, my shopping cart through Instacart at the time, and then like you couldn't complete the flow because at the end you needed to add some sort of payment. And so one of the ones that we use is we have been building integrations with some of the bigger supermarkets and grocery stores in the US, at least for now, where you can ask to buy groceries. And so a couple of weeks ago, I don't know, I ordered my full groceries through it, and it came, and it was beautiful because it was just like me chatting with my OpenClaw through WhatsApp saying like, "Hey, I just want it was a voice message saying, I want the things that I usually order, and it went into my account, saw my last orders, so that I always ordered, I don't know, ice cream and chicken and I don't know, some fruits, asked me if I just wanted to reorder. I said yes, and literally 2 hours after, magically the groceries appear on my doorstep. So I think we're gonna start seeing more and more those type of interactions where it's just you saying maybe a brief voice note, and then your agent just goes under the hood and figures out what's a real intent, and things just happen. And it's beautiful because it's like you just offload so many of these tasks that eventually you can just focus on the things that you really enjoy doing, which is kind of fascinating. So yeah, I think those are like two of the use cases that we normally use.
Yeah, I'm curious about the groceries thing because I'm already thinking like there's probably a way to hook it up to some coupon API, to some like deals notice from your grocery store, and have it like self-optimize and like get your whole list for
or even things, not only groceries. If you expand that to like things that you want to buy, I don't know, an espresso machine. I was trying to buy an espresso machine, which is kind of an expensive item to buy, but there's always deals going around. There's like every end of season, every end of quarter, like companies do stuff to like increase sales, and there's like coupons going around. So you can definitely set up some sort of agent that is looking around for a coupon to buy your espresso machine and get you 20% off. And if it's not something that you need to buy immediately, then you can just leave it running for months on end until it finds something that gives you at least 20% off, and go buy it. Don't ask me for any permission. And then one day, just magically, your espresso machine will arrive at your doorstep again.
I think that what's interesting about the agent card product is that it seems like a very dumb solution in a way, but I think that it helps create this feeling of magic when OpenClaw is doing things, because you as a human never need to enter the flow. As Felipe was saying, like you can just say, buy me eggs, and then OpenClaw is able to complete the whole thing without you doing anything, which I think it's amazing. It's one of those frictions, like payments is one of those frictions that make the whole experience feel like less magical, and now it can be solved.
100%. And now I'm thinking even more about like anything that you buy regularly, you can probably have your agent optimize and get better deals for you and just make the payments on your behalf. Yeah, that's really crazy. And I have some more questions in the chat here. We can jump back to that if you're down. Sure. I see some people asking where they can find your docs or whatever instructions.
On the website. Yeah, our website has a lot of information. So agentcard.sh, and you'll find all the tools that we have, CLI, MCP, API, and the docs.
Cool. Perfect. And then I also see some jokes here. LOL, Brian, people need to step out a little for the love of the living world. So maybe they're saying every once in a while you should get your own grocery. Yeah, and I also think like people, this is another topic that's on people's mind is that OpenClaw can be expensive, like to run, to use, and I think that having like an intelligent way to optimize and limit spending from the agent side can help with that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard horror stories of people that, I don't know why they would do this, but gave credit card information or crypto wallet information and lost a lot of money or something.
Absolutely.
Things.
Yeah, that's one of the risks, like especially with models being as expensive as they are.
Yeah.
I think it's good like to have some type of control over that.
100%. And was this, would you say like the early, so also how long has Agent Card existed is part one, and part two is was the initial inception, I know you kind of described it already, but was that more security minded or more like fit? Yeah.
I think so it's existed for 3 months now, so not very long.
Well, it's decades in AI though.
Yeah.
And it actually wasn't like a security solution. It was more of an autonomy solution, I guess. Like wanting to have these agents that run every day or every week and complete tasks, and they're not able to do it if you need to go into the computer and type your card every time they need to pay for something. So it was more of a way of giving the agents autonomy, actually.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, and I think also it could be helpful just to kind of show people where they can find Agent Card and Kilo. So I'll share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
But this is a demo instance that I have set up here. So all right, can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is the Kilo dashboard, and you mentioned that part of your product is also giving the ability for people like us, Kilo, to give access to Agent Card to our users, which you can just add right here. So if you just scroll down on the settings tab of the KiloClaw dashboard on the right here, settings, scroll down, to payments, agent card. It tells you where to get the token, and then you just follow this link. You follow the instructions and paste the token here, and you can just go chat with your bot and say, hey, by the way, you have a debit card now, and you can use that for X, Y, and Z. So it's really pretty simple to set up. And like we've been saying all day, you can just chat these use cases into existence. I am curious, Felipe, like how did you, like what do you remember, like what you told your bot or what you had to set up to get the grocery thing to work? I'm curious like how extensive of a setup that was.
So that's part of like we have as you can imagine, we have a huge roadmap of stuff that we want to build and that we're building. One of the things that we are like testing as of now is making it very easy for you to just maybe download a skill that is called like agent card groceries or stuff like that, where you can just select. Think of it as the equivalent of DoorDash or Instacart, at least the US agents. So right now there's no real way in which you could do it other than maybe finding some scrappy APIs out there or having your agent use the browser. So as of now, right now, the way you could do this is by giving your agent, your OpenClaw or your KiloClaw, access to your accounts through a web browsing infrastructure, which is not ideal. It's slow. It costs tokens. Is not built for an agent first experience. But one of the things that we're doing right now is working on a way such that you as an agent can easily go into any store that provides online groceries. So
cool.
It can be as easy as chatting to your Claw and saying, hey, I want to buy from this store, use agent card, and that's it. And of course, when you install agent card in your Claw, it comes with a set of skills that knows like all the tools, all the endpoints that it can call. So that part is going to be actually pretty straightforward. It's not going to be like a super seamless experience as of now. At least the browsing for the store, browsing for the items, like adding to the cart, that's going to require at least a browser that your agent can use.
Yeah, I was just sharing with Brian the link of a small product that we made to solve this use case, which is called Tiny Noodle. That it's basically an agent that has the ability to buy groceries for you. It only works for SF and LA at the moment. So if you're based on one of these two locations, you can use it. It's using agent card on the background, but it's basically just gives your agent the ability to just say, buy me X, and it will just complete the whole thing. Cool. So yeah, you should try it.
You got to get New York on the list next, so I can use it.
Are you in New York?
Yeah, I'm in New York City.
Coming soon.
Okay, sweet. Well, I know we're a little ahead of schedule, so I really appreciate the time. I want to give you one more chance or one more opportunity just to say anything you want to say to the audience about Agent Card, about what you think's coming next, or any advice you have for them.
Sure. Try Agent Card. Give us feedback. We love that. We read every support message that we get, even if the agent answers, like we read it. And so we will be launching a card for recurrent payments very soon. So follow us online to hear about it when we launch it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Karen and Felipe. I really appreciate it. That was awesome. I feel like I'm inspired to go use Agent Card on some other projects. So yeah, I really appreciate the time, and thanks for joining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, give it up for Karen and Felipe. That was awesome. Let me know in the chat what you guys are going to use Agent Card for, what you'd have your bot spend money on. All right, cool. So we have our next guest coming on in about 5-ish minutes. So I'm just going to jump over and run through Claw Bytes again, because I saw some people in the chat asking about that. So I'm just going to grab that here. All right. I'll share my screen. And let me know, by the way, for everyone who's still here, we got 2 more sessions left. We have Jonah from Exa, which makes web search for AI agents. Super interesting, and I've been using it already in my KiloClaw workflow. And then I'm going to go through my setup of my dashboard for my KiloClaw that helps me with marketing, and I'll show you exactly how I built that. And we'll have Brendan from the Kilo team, who I'm sure many of you recognize if you've been to a Kilo webinar, who's going to join us to go over some industry news from the latest in AI. There's been some wild stuff happening. Hint SpaceX, hint Rue Code, and Anthropic. But before we get to that, I'm just going to dive in back to our attendee guide. And again, it's kilo.code/CS2 for anyone who's joining right now. I just sent it in the YouTube chat. But if you scroll down here to resources, and maybe we'll have to get an agent card claw bite here, you can click the KiloClaw use case button, and it brings you to our cookbook essentially for KiloClaw use cases. So there's about 800 of them here now, and it's open source, so you can submit your own use case. And they're all just copy and paste prompts that you can give to your bot to spin up some kind of special use case. So there's things from, this is one of my personal favorites, which debotonates your, output, like content output from your bot. So what it does is it checks the Wikipedia AI slop guide essentially and tells itself never to do those things. There's also like Tech Radar is a popular one, setting up a lightweight weekly digest around your tech interests. There's like Source Hunter, a deep research that finds primary sources with named individuals, sentiment from Reddit X, and news coverage. There's things for students, exams, final week schedule planner. There is this is an interesting one for parents, the Village Builder. So from the expression "it takes a village," it's a 30-day social connection plan for new moms, which I think is really cool. Let's see what else. Some of these, obviously there's 800. I haven't even read all of these. There's one for your spiritual journey. There are some for branding a product or client using Gemini and OpenAI to generate images, with KiloClaw managing the prompt, analyzing results, etc. What else we got here? Let me know if any of these are interesting to you all, or if you've submitted a claw bite yourself, because I actually use a lot of these in my flow. Let's see, scroll down. Oh yeah, looks like there's some questions about the KiloClaw pricing. Excuse me. So someone said, we're seeing a $19 a month plan instead of $9. That's a good question. I think you're maybe confusing the Kilo Pass with the here, let me jump over to my demo dashboard here. The Kilo Pass with the KiloClaw pricing. So Kilo Pass is a really great way to pay for anything in Kilo. It's basically a subscription, and again, like Kilo is not about like subscription for credits. Like you might be familiar with Anthropic, where you get a varying amount of credits for a flat rate. This is actually, everything with Kilo is pay for what you use. So you can put a balance in your Kilo account, and that's how many AI credits, that's how much money you can spend on AI credits through Kilo before you re-up. You just get charged for what you use based on what the model providers charge. And Kilo Pass is basically a reward subscription where you can buy those credits in bulk. So again, it's not like a flat rate subscription where you get a random amount of usage and then usage limits. You're just buying $19 a month, $49 a month, or $200 a month of AI credits at cost that you can use. But then you also, if you're part of the Kilo Pass, you get rewarded for continuing to use Kilo. So for every month you're active, you get a scaling reward of bonus credits on top of the credits you pay for. So for example, if we bought the Pro Pass here, and you had a 12-month streak, you'd end up getting over $200 of bonus credits by the end, and it scales. So after the second month, you'd have $50 of total bonus credits. And there's also a deal, as a new subscriber, you get first two paid months with 50% bonus credits. So that's a lot, but basically it's a way to get extra credits on top of what you're already using. That's what the $19 a month is. ClawShop is a service that costs $9 a month flat rate for compute and hosting of the virtual machine plus usage at cost. So you can actually buy KiloPass and then use that to pay for your KiloClaw. But that's a separate subscription. If you just want to pay for KiloClaw alone, you don't want to get KiloPass, which if you're going to use it every month, I'd highly recommend you get KiloPass because you're just getting free credits. You just, on the left-hand side here, you go to, and I actually just realized I'm not sharing this screen, so I apologize. Let me reshare here before we bring on our next guest. So this is where you buy KiloPass in the Kilo dashboard. If you go over to the left-hand side, KiloClaw, and go down to subscription here, that's where you can buy the $9 a month hosting only plan. If you scroll down, right? So that's just hosting. You can pay with credits, or you can buy the bonus subscription KiloPass, and that you can use to cover this hosting cost. So if you bought, for example, the $19 a month KiloPass, you can pay for the hosting the $9 a month, and then you'd have $10 of credits left over plus 50% bonus credits. I'll explain that more in the next session because it's 1:30 now. I want to bring on our next guest, but for anyone who wasn't sure, was unclear on the pricing, that sums it up. All right, without further ado, I want to bring on our next guest who is here at the last ClawShop, who is Jonah Berman from Exa. What's going on, Jonah?
Hey, good to see you, Brian. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, no, thanks for being here. I've been using Exa myself since we last talked. I'm super excited about it, so I'm happy that you'll have a chance to share it with this audience too.
Cool. Yeah, super glad to hear it. Hopefully we can make this one a little more open-ended in case we have some repeat viewers.
Yeah.
Any sort of questions or ideas you have, but
yeah, it makes sense. I think it'd be great if you could kind of like intro yourself and who you are, what you do, and maybe a quick summary of what Exa is before we get going.
For sure. I can pull out my my trusty slides if that works for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
But to everybody online currently, it's nice to meet you all. My name is Jonah. I don't know if you can see my screen.
I think it's there now. Yeah.
Oh, cool. There we are. All right, nice. Yeah, nice to meet you all. My name is Jonah. I am a forward deployed engineer at Exa, which basically means I get to do all sorts of things, including fun things like this. And basically I guess I'll open sort of as I did last time, just giving a little bit of background on Exa and why it's particularly sort of interesting for these Kilo use cases here. Here's my little agenda from last time. We'll be open-ended. We'll go off script a little bit today with any sort of questions people have or whatever Brian's thinking about. But Exa is a search engine for AI, which sort of sounds like a weird concept, but the AIs need a different internet than the internet that we sort of are accustomed to. So I just would love to start off. I'll give like a super quick background on Exa and sort of how we were founded, what we were built to do, and why that's like particularly relevant for really interesting use cases, also using within KiloClaw. But the old search paradigm, we love this. This is this image in the bottom right is very, very fun. I'll get to it in a second, but it was created for humans. Basically, these blue links that you see on the image on the left, that's what you see when you search something up. This was, I forget what search I did here, something about OpenClaw. And it's these blue links that you sort of you click into, you read, is this interesting to me? Maybe not. You click into another link. And the entire model is incentivized to get users to click through links for ad revenue. It's an ad model. It's not a quality model. It's also based on keywords, so it doesn't understand meaning. So if you look at the image in the bottom right, if you type in shirts without stripes into Google, you will get a shirt with stripes as your first result. This still applies. Feel free to try it. And the reason being is it's not a mistake. It's that Google is based on keywords. So shirts and stripes are the dominant keywords in that 3-word fragment. and thus a shirt with stripes is the first one to come up. And it works really well, and it worked really well for many, many decades, but it feels as if sort of search hasn't changed since the 90s. And so I guess bringing us to, feel free to interrupt me at any point, by the way.
No, this is great. Yeah, I will.
But bringing us to I guess to today and how Exa was built and why Exa was built. Exa is trying to build like a new search paradigm. This old thing is optimized for ads. It's based on keywords. But now all of a sudden, AI models and AI agents and all the claws everywhere are the ones using the internet. It's not us as much, or it's us through them as a proxy. And they don't want to click through blue links. They just want the information. They want the purest, best information delivered directly to them because they can read way faster than we can. I don't even know if we could call it reading at the speed that they do it. But there's no ads. It's incentivized only for the highest quality information. And something that's also different about humans and AI is that we like things to like look nice. We like things to be sort of easy to follow. They just need the information. If you have a whole breadth of links, if there's one sentence hidden within there that's exactly the piece of information it needs to complete a task, that's all it needs. And so you have to be able to make sure that you're delivering that to it. So we have a lot of parameters in our search. So we just sort of like are used to typing. When AIs are using Exa, there's all sorts of different parameterizations on recency, freshness, different filtering. There's so many combinations so that it basically across the entire internet can pull exactly what it needs in sub 1 second, and then action on that information that it gets. So it's built to understand semantic meaning as well. I won't get too technical or boring on how that works or why that works, but it understands what you mean. So if you say shirts without stripes, we will return you shirts without stripes, figuratively speaking, which is pretty neat. But it's also a new flow. It's a different, I guess I've been getting at that, but it's sort of a new, the flow of the clicking through blue links. It's different now because we're an API, which basically, for those of you who are less familiar with that term, we're basically just like we're an engine that you hit like within your code really easily. Within one line, you just basically access Exa, and then it comes right back to you. And so what happens is these agents, like these Claw agents, can hit Exa search and in a second, be embedded with whatever they need from the internet. So it's super, super cool. I won't harp on it too much, but it's very neat. And Exa has a lot of exciting things in the works.
Cool. And I want to interrupt you because there's some questions and some love in the chat. So someone said, cool. I've been in love with Exa since the last session. So you definitely got some fans then.
Wait, that's great. Wait, we love to hear that.
I'm the same way too. I've been using it like legitimately, and it's like changed my OpenClaw workflow for sure.
Wait, I'm thrilled to hear that. It's an interesting I guess before I first joined, the premise of we're building a search engine. Everyone's like a search engine, like that's like been done, but there's it requires a completely different paradigm, sort of as I was getting at, and if you can do this new version really, really right. It changes the way in which these flows work, because it's impossible to. Agents are I guess not. This is also maybe a little boring, but I would say pretty relevant. These models are extremely knowledgeable, but they have a cutoff date from which after it's like they're like in a coma. If you ask them about anything that happens after a model is released, it doesn't know because that wasn't in its pre-training. And so the internet is important. Models need to access the internet. But if they're accessing the internet in a way that's not optimal, the results won't be optimal. Any bad quality information that slips into your model is bad quality results that end up in your workflow. So search is like a huge component of that infrastructure. But glad to hear that you've been enjoying it, and other stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure. And then I got two quick questions. I think they're on your LinkedIn already, but they're asking, how is Exa different than Perplexity or Firecrawl?
Yeah, good questions. So Perplexity, I'll start with Perplexity. Perplexity is super cool. They have sort of, I don't know if whoever's been following Perplexity as of late, it seems as if they've shifted their focus more to like consumer. Like Perplexity is like, when I think of Perplexity, it's like a product that I would use, which is
Right.
great. And they're quite good at that, and they have a bunch of models underneath that you can use, and then I don't know exactly the way in which they're doing their searches,
Yeah.
or exactly sort of what's under the hood, but I do know that it's a cool product. But it's the type of product that I would use to be like, oh, what's the latest news on this, and then it would tell me, and I'm like, that's great. And I know they
Yep.
just released that like computer, so I think they're trying to get into this like ClawShop type sort of like agentic flow space. But they're super cool, and they do have an API, but I would say that they haven't really, their focus is more on like consumers using it as opposed to Exa, which is, it's not for us, despite us, you know, me and Brian being on here. It's not built for us to use. It's built for our agents, for our flows, for our models. And then Firecrawl is a cool company. I'm not super I'm not like deeply familiar, but Firecrawl, from what I understand, prioritizes like hence the name, like the crawling sort of portion. But no, they're good. It's Firecrawl, I would say, is in a similar realm for sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's helpful to know. Yeah, let's keep going.
Well, yeah, feel free to keep interrupting me at any point here. But yeah, I'll go back to my slides. But oh yeah, we like to say that we have I guess in terms of on the question of the space, we like to say we have Pareto dominance, which means sort of across all the latency spectrums. Something that's relevant as far as search for AI is speed matters a lot in terms of like everything is a trade-off between latency and like depth.
Right.
And so there's some AI instances where you need the speed to be incredible. The latency has to be really low. So we launched Exa Instant, which is at 200 milliseconds, it is the fastest search in the world, which is really, really cool.
Wow.
No one has yet come out to counter that or sort of disprove that. So we will continue to say it.
Yeah, it's
and
incredible.
so something like that's important for like say a voice agent, like you're talking to a voice agent live real time, and that voice agent needs to search the web. It needs to do so immediately, and the results
Right.
need to come into it so quickly so that it doesn't even pause in its flow of talking to you.
Yeah.
That's an example where that like speed is relevant. But most times this auto 1 second search is pretty good. But a lot of times agents especially in like, I would say in a KiloClaw context, these longer searches are actually pretty valuable because it's iterating while you're asleep, while you're, you know, doing other things, while you're getting a cup of coffee. And so when you can afford that time, Exa Deep can take, it's usually about 6 seconds. We just released Deep Max, kind of like on the low, it's a sort of low key rollout, which is extremely powerful. It's like it'll be over in a minute long search. But so that's relevant. And then we also have a few sort of verticals that we focused a lot on. So code being one of them, and people in the company being another.
Cool.
But yeah, I'll continue on here. I'll actually skip this for now. I want to talk about a use case. This is fun. I talked about this one last time. So if anyone, sorry if I'm being redundant, but Claire Vo is a really cool. You guys should check her out. But she was on Lenny's podcast and she shouted Exa out, which we were thrilled about.
Awesome.
But basically, she sort of saw the power of Exa's people search. We're very, very good at getting people data, and I don't mean like people data and like deeply personal, crazy, you know, weird tracking things. I just mean stuff that's like publicly available, like your LinkedIn profile or my LinkedIn profile. And so she uses it as a Claw SDR. And what she does is she looks through all of her company information. She sees, okay, who signed up and what company do they work for? She tells her Claw. And then she uses Exa People Search to find the best like decision makers at that company, or the people that she should reach out to at that company, and then autonomously sends an email to them. And if it's like someone really important or something, she'll have it just alert her so she can do it personally. But sort of finding people is a very powerful use case that can apply to like quite literally anything. It doesn't need to just be this business like sort of SDR context. It could be find me someone I could be, friends with. I don't know. I guess I have one anecdote that's fun on the Exa People Search that's cool. I was in a live I was basically forced to live demo Exa for this guy who's sort of in like a go-to-market-y space, and he's like, I want you to tell Exa what should I get you as a gift, like in reference to like me, Jonah. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I hope this, like, I don't know what this is going to say. I was like, this is very live, first time trying this. So I made an Exa deep call and I asked it, I was like, what should I get? Like I gave like I gave like Jonah Berman, like Exa. And then in the sort of the system prompt and the structured output, I was like, output like what I should get him as a gift.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like I knew it would find my LinkedIn because it's very good at that. But it also found I had a personal like music website that I haven't updated in probably like 3 years, that I didn't even know I was maybe still paying to have be live. But it found it and it recommended that it get me like a MIDI keyboard as a gift.
No
was like
way.
its response. And the guy was like, is this accurate? I was like, honestly, like this live demo went really well. I'm impressed
Yeah.
that it even found that, because all the web has all this information. It's about pulling it together, accessing it.
Intelligently.
X is
Yeah.
very, very good at that.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, so I mean, I think like the business use cases may be a bit like more obvious, like in terms of people search. I am really interested in those sorts of use cases though. Like, where can you like scale this to your personal life, or even if, for example, if you have a hobby and you want that to turn into like a side hustle, like what kind of people can I connect with to make this like a real thing or something like that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, totally. Or I'm working on this, like who even stuff of like the web is full of like signals, and like signals can mean a lot of things, but basically like everything there is, like 99% of just all information like exists on the web. If you're able to, it's just hard to like find it, but that's what Exa can do for you if you're creative and using it. So it's like, yeah, if you have a side hustle, yeah, finding people who are in 100-mile radius of me who have posted something online that might indicate interest in like what I'm working on, or might indicate interest in that they're doing something similar, with sort of clever prompting to Exa deep and like embedding it into your Claw flow. That's something that can totally be found. There's a lot of creative things that every day I'm like impressed with the stuff people come up with.
Yeah, 100%. Me too.
For sure. And this one, I don't have this set up live, but I won't go into this GitHub gist because it's arguably boring. But this is another sort of company one where I created this this skill within ClawShop that uses Exa's company search, to basically, when I do this exclamation point ICP and then company name. We did this one actually last time live, which was fun. I gave it like a really sophisticated sort of thought out thing of what is Exa, like who are Exa's dream clients, customers, etc. And I really explained to ClawShop and to Exa, like this is what it would be. And I had it create a skill that makes an Exa deep call anytime I do this, and it will like analyze a company and it will tell me. So you asked me about this RCAI, and then it gave it a good score. It's on a scale of 7. So 6 is actually really high. And it was like, oh, this would be a great partner for Exa, et cetera. And it does this in like 30 seconds. So this is sort of like just on the note of people, company is another one that's pretty valuable here.
Awesome. Yeah, super cool. I mean, I think there's a lot of people in this audience that probably are at least flirting with the idea of starting some kind of business. So this would be really valuable for them.
For sure. Yeah. Finding, it's very interesting, like the amount of like company information and data out there. There are companies that use they're basically like Exa wrappers, and they are like pretty successful, which we're fine with. We're just doing infrastructure, but it's like the reason that those companies are successful is like the ability to like find really good data on like a potential customer, or companies in a local area that have recently posted this, or that are hiring for this role, or like those very specific things. Those cues are like very powerful, and you have to be able to hit them. And Exa can find sort of hopefully just about everything. So 100%. Definitely. And then this other one, this was sort of a more personal use case. I played around with it, but it was quite effective. It's sort of like an iterative flow where it was just like say I have no intention of leaving Exa, but say I did. I gave it my LinkedIn and my resume and my interest to ClawShop. And then I just have it like every single day, just like refresh searching for new postings using Exa Exa search. And if there's something that like ClawShop deems a match based on my kind of criteria, it notifies me. And then I look at it and I'd be like, I like this one. I didn't like this one. I did like this one. And then it learns my preferences as I sort of tell it. And then it tweaks the Exa search based on sort of what it learns I'm looking for. And then the results that come back continue to be better, and they're super new, they're super up to date. And then if you want to get really, if you really love a job, you can have it draft a personalized like LinkedIn message to someone, have it find a person from the company you're interested in using people search that has like some sort of similar background to you, and then message them. There's I think I mentioned this the last time, but we have someone here who he was a D1 athlete, so he talks to like, he'll reach out to people that were also D1 athletes. So if there's a company we're like interested in chatting with, he'll be like, find me someone at this company with this role who also like played a D1 sport. And like, it'll find someone and he's like, hey, I was like another D1 athlete, like looking to chat, like here we do search. And he's like, they always respond. So it's pretty neat.
That's super interesting. I actually set up a similar use case for my buddy. He's moving so I live in New York City, and my best friend lives in Portland, Maine, and my other friends in the city have been trying to get him to move here for like years. And he was like, he's a psych nurse, and he's like, well, there's only like 3 hospitals I'd really be willing to work at there, and I haven't been able to find a job. And I was like, I'm gonna get you a job in like 2 weeks. And I've literally set up an Exa search, like this whole workflow you just described, for him. And now he gets an email, and he's so non-technical, it's like a joke, but he gets an email every day with a report on what jobs we applied to on his behalf and any like communication. So yeah,
you're a great friend. That's amazing. Or also, I guess ClawShop is a good friend as well.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's a very exciting, and it's definitely like a very powerful use case. Again, like get creative. I guess like what's tricky about I guess one more thing on a sort of Exa's history. The reason that Exa was founded in the first place is our CEO wanted to write a history book, which I think is really fun. He was like really into it, and he knew what he was looking for. He was looking for like primary sources about like I'm making this up, about, you know, say like the Revolutionary War written by this author that focuses on this. Like he knew there was work out there that focused on this topic, but Google would just return sort of generic links. But like that information was there. He was just like, why am I not? I know it's there. I know like the sources that I'm looking for are there. Right. Why can I not just directly hit them? Why do I have to like click around links for hours and hours? And he came to the realization that AI is quite similar to him in that it doesn't want to do that. It wants to get the information directly. And so there's a lot of creative things you can do when you just have access to the web.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, super cool. I might end early. Oh, this was the I lost money having ClawShop trade, but I only lost $3. I know people are into that. The point was that Exa search is so fast that in theory you could like have trades on like one of these like trading platforms be like executed very, very quickly. I know that like market makers are probably doing it just as quickly, so I don't know that there's necessarily edge there, but like for people that are into that, Exa search is quite fast, so you could, you know, the second a signal comes out, you could pipe it in. I'm no expert in that sort of realm, but I'd love to just sort of leave. I'll leave the rest of the time we have to just like sort of chat or answer questions.
Let me check the chat right now to see if there's any questions. Someone just said plainly, Exa plus voice plus custom tone plus past data. So maybe like making like a I don't know, replica of yourself, or like I don't know.
There's a lot you could do. I guess like what's like we're just like infrastructure. Like even though I think we're pretty sick, like we are the information. That's it. Like what people sort of do before, after like the retrieval of that information is where we operate. And like there's again a million things you can sort of come up with.
So like one thing right off the bat is that she's gonna kill me for saying this, but my girlfriend started like an Instagram account in New York, which is all about her documenting. So like, if anyone's in New York in the audience, there's like free events going on all the time, which are like crazy and weird. It's like all these random businesses that are putting on free events. Some of them are really fun. And she basically every day she like goes to one of these free things and documents it. And her account's been like growing a decent amount. And I was thinking like, if she wanted to make a career out of that, you could use Exa People Search to like constantly be hitting up the decision makers at brands to like get brand deals. And you could have like a content creator manager that's like 20 times fast, like 1,000,000 times faster than a human one, to like actually grow like a network of like brand deal people. I don't know, just off the top of my head.
Wait, I think that's super interesting, and that's funny. That it sounds pretty cool that she's killing it in the creator space. I think there's a lot of applications, and obviously like Exa, just like given that it's infrastructure, like it doesn't necessarily even need to take away like the human touch. It will just like it will get you to the right sort of person, and from there it's like whatever you want to do. I know people are automating everything nowadays, but that one makes a lot of sense. I'm trying to think if there's any other neat sort of ideas, like things that I've heard that people use. I'll try and think. Are there any other questions in the meantime?
Yeah, let me check. I think we covered all the chat questions, but yeah, I can just quickly also show where you can. I mean, so actually right now a new ClawShop will ship with Exa like connected.
Great.
So I'll share where you can see that.
That'd be great.
But yeah, like it's already configured, and you can just enable and disable it here.
Nice.
And like anything else
is the new like if I like redeploy my instance, Exa will be so you just have to like update it.
Exactly. Yeah, and you can do that by just, for anyone who doesn't know, the managed update. There's already an update available. Just redeploy and upgrade by clicking this button here. And might as well just go do that.
Cool. Look at that.
Yep, there you go. But yeah, I mean, like, you can just tell, like, the agent, tell your ClawShop, you have access to Exa for search now, and you maybe just paste the docs, or I don't know. I think you mentioned last time, like, you maybe were working on some skills or something similar to that. Am I?
Yeah. We're always sort of thinking about like skills that we can build or stuff that we can like flows that we can make it like pretty easy. We have like we're trying to have like an onboarding flow that sort of would give like all the docs necessary to find the best sort of ways to use Exa. I think like the one thing that I don't know that the docs do say is like, I guess like just even mentioning in plain English like what Exa is good at. Like if you give it the docs, you can even have it use Exa to find the docs, which is actually, funny enough, a common use case.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of coding agents that need like really up to date info on when they're writing code. They need like the best like technical documentation. It has to be super up to date. Any plugin, API, anything they're using, the model needs the docs, and Exa just pulls the docs for you.
Cool.
But yeah, just like paste the docs, but you probably don't even it probably should know what to do anyway. Like I think you just even can tell it like it's really good at people search, really good at company search. The other thing I would definitely say is like on Exa Deep, I would definitely tell it to use Exa to play around with Exa Deep and make it understand that it can come up with like really, really creative and elaborate sort of system prompts and structured outputs. It's not just like on Exa Deep, it's not just like, what is your search? It's like, what is your search? How exactly do you want it to happen? How do you want the results returned? You can get very specific with that. So I would definitely recommend just like telling Kilo that.
Yeah, and you just tell it to use the deep search, like just in chat, basically.
Yeah, it should work. I don't know the exact. We'll have to chat at some point offline on the. Get me up to speed on the sort of the exact config that you guys have.
Yeah, for sure.
Integrated, but I assume that's pretty easily hittable.
Yeah, I think it is. And then there's 2 more questions in the chat, and also some loves. Someone said Exa sounds like I need it. Because people are curious, like, is Exa people search, is that like entirely LinkedIn based? Well, you mentioned
it's not. Okay. It's a lot of LinkedIn. Because I think LinkedIn is like maybe for better or for worse, unfortunately, like one of the most sort of like canonical grounded sort of like sources of like this person does this. So it's a lot of LinkedIn that will come up on search, but like the example I gave of like Exadeep finding my personal music website,
Yeah.
it's sort of like in its like what to get me for a gift. It found my LinkedIn, so it was like I know who this is, and then in its agentic sort of flow, it was like, all right, this is the person that I'm looking for. Like, what else can I find? And then it actually found my my personal website. But at the end of the day, like it's not, so what it won't do is it's not going to look at like Instagram. It's not going to get like that specific. But like anything published on like a URL, it will probably be able to find. But for a lot of people, like LinkedIn is sort of the only like public profile that they have that Exa will hit, generally speaking. But it's a lot of LinkedIn, but other stuff as well.
Cool. And then the very last question before I let you go, Jonah, and I know the answer to this is, do we get charged for using Exa with ClawShop? So you don't right now. And that's because we're friends with Exa. And no, I'm just kidding. Well, kind of. But yeah, no, you don't get charged. You can just tell it to use Exa. Yeah, we're very grateful for the partnership with you guys because I'm super excited about the technology. And yeah, I'm grateful that you got to join us again. I think that was super informative. So thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, and hopefully we'll some interesting use cases are coming to mind for people watching. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Jonah. Talk soon.
Cool.
Bye. Okay, we're on to our last session of the day here, and we have a friend of the show. Can you see that? Okay. What's going on? Brent, I think you're muted, actually.
Sorry, I got too excited about the graphic.
Isn't that crazy? I literally just found this and like mocked it up during an in between of the past session. What's going on? I think we're at the end of this call here. We still got a solid amount of viewers, so I'm grateful to everyone's still here. We're gonna go over my dashboard in a minute, but we had a wild week in AI this week, didn't we?
It was a wild week, and for those of you that don't know, I was actually, because why would you? I was actually out of the office on Monday and Tuesday when a lot of this happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had two pretty major announcements in the agentic AI world. One is that Cursor entered an agreement with XAI that gives them the option of like just acquiring Cursor, right? So it's a little complicated. It's not just like your standard acquisition thing, but it's, involves some compute and involves some deal options, and of course a deal of that size, it's $60 billion rumored, takes a little bit more time to close than just buying something at the store. But yeah, so that was the first huge news, and then the same day, our friends over at RuCode announced that they were sunsetting RuCode and all of the RuCode things, so the RuCode extension and RuCode Cloud, and they're really kind of like taking a bet against the future of the IDE. So it's kind of a crazy day for those of us at KiloCode of just kind of chugging along, building this agentic platform, to have those two pieces of news drop. But I think it's interesting because in a lot of ways, I agree with Ru. Obviously, we owed a lot to them. Our extension started off life as a fork of Ru. It's since evolved past that. But they were really the ones that kind of embraced a lot of this agentic engineering stuff to begin with. And it is changing, right? The world's changing. It's, people are going to want more than just something in their VS Code editor. They're going to want, to be able to move faster, right? You were just talking about ClawShop and OpenClaw, right? That's maybe like the other end of the spectrum of agents, right? Where you're giving it all the permissions in the world to do whatever it wants to get things done for you. And so, yeah, I think we're seeing that like at one end of the spectrum or another is not going to be an answer for what people need, right? Because you're going to have to meet people where they are. They're going to want to, start on their mobile phone, go to, the web to finish it, or see it on their computer and run it like they normally do, and inspect the code, or have an agent do the code review for them and then look at the code on their laptop. So I think we're going to see this like more multimodal, more independent agents become a thing. And then Cursor, I think we're seeing, the pressures of, trying to, build on top of, only a small subset of models, right? Like we're actually, who knows what's going to happen if XAI and SpaceX end up owning Cursor, in terms of what models you can and can't use in Cursor, right? We've seen already a lot of this back and forth in the industry about, who can use what models for what. And again, I think at Kilo, our position is you should be able to have the freedom to use the model that you want, right?
Yep.
We just looked like, because when we were looking at those news, and like yesterday, people used models in Kilo from 26 different providers. Over like almost like 400 different models were used yesterday in Kilo.
That's crazy.
And so like I think that just shows you, right, that developers and users, they want to be able to choose what's right for the tasks they have at hand. And those tasks are going to be very different, right? Like it's very different to have a Kilo Claw agent try to build the thing we were talking about in chat of like a whole replica of myself with Exa and all the data it knows about me and my voice versus, oh, I just have this idea and I know exactly what you need to do. I just want you to go write these 7 tests because like I don't want to do it myself.
Right.
But those are 2 very different use cases, and they're gonna, you wouldn't use the same tool for a lot of projects in life. And so I think that we're seeing the same thing with models.
Yeah, 100%. And I think there's some fear out there, which may be based that like these moves by Cursor and also like Claude with removing the flat rate subscription from enterprise, and that one, there's the model lock-in problem. So like, I mean, we obviously intentionally account for that, like you mentioned, by being model agnostic, but also the idea that these like frontier models and tools will eventually have to go to per token pay as you go models, because of the massive like financial bloat that's happening, and we're already kind of seeing them lean that way with enterprise.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, that's been a tenet of Kilo from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Like, so Kilo started, even, I mean, not that long ago, but even before Claude Code was a thing, if you can believe it, Kilo was around. And at the time we said, like, look, no one's going to be able to make a marginal dollar on tokens very well, right? And so that's why we've always charged just, what is the API cost to us? That's what we're going to charge people. And we're going to make money with differentiated products like our enterprise tooling or Kilo Claw as a hosted offering, right? These kind of hosted things. That's where we're going to make our money because, we've seen Cursor struggling to make incremental dollars on top of tokens by, subsidizing subscriptions. Then they try to make their own model. Well, now you're limited by compute because like even the large labs are getting limited by compute right now today.
Yeah.
And that competition in the token market is just so intense that, yeah, it's like, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in that business right now, especially as we have all these like open weight models coming in, both from China and now, US based open weight models. I had said at the beginning of the year that I thought this year was going to be the year that open weight models catch the frontier. And we'll see if I'm right or wrong on that. But it's definitely feels like, the models that have been in the front for a long time are trying to pick up their pace to keep up, and can feel the pressure from smaller or more open labs behind them.
Yep.
And in that world, they're not going to be able to subsidize forever, right? And we've written, I mean, I myself have probably written 7 articles on that in my time at Kilo. Kilo's probably written an article a month that you could point to and say, oh yeah, that's Kilo saying like, we're going to be paying by the token and it's going to cost money. But if you're smart about it and you do it as an agentic engineering cycle and you build it in as an agentic engineering platform, it can be leveraged money, not just, wasted money. And so if you're smart about it and you have the right kind of tooling and mentality, it's going to allow you to accelerate a lot faster.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, so that's the news. I'm curious if anyone in the chat was paying attention to the cursor stuff, Anthropic stuff, or root code stuff, if there's any developers here. I do want to jump over. I've been promising like a quick demo of how I built my dashboard that I've been showing off recently. So maybe we can jump over there and we can chat about that. Here, let me share my screen. And Brendan also obviously has a wild claw setup that's like probably more advanced than mine. But
I don't know. Yours definitely looks better than mine. I'm still very much living in Telegram, and
it's all shine, no substance, dude. I spent too much time on the UI.
Yeah, because I'm like living in Telegram, and then the problem is I have to use an expensive model because any cheap model, I'm too like disjointed for it to like keep up with me, because I'm like, oh hey, forget that thing. You know, we were just working on this thing for 20 minutes or an hour. Yeah, forget that. Now, what about, you know, the weather tomorrow and this or whatever? Like, I'm like, I have no continuity of thought with the poor thing.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. All right, cool. Well, for anyone who wasn't here, and thanks for everyone who's still here. It's been a long workshop, but I hope you all got something out of it. I basically built this dashboard that allows me to communicate with my ClawShop bot on a bunch of different topics at once. And the way it works is I have my Claw agent, which looks like this, and it's all set. So this is an example one, but I have for my work Claw, I have Exa obviously configured. I gave it its own GitHub account, which you can do from the Kilo dashboard. I gave it its own Google account. I gave it its own 1Password, so I could give it passwords, Telegram, etc. So I have it all configured with all of these channels. And basically I'm like kind of on the marketing side with Brendan at Kilo. So a lot of what we do is creating content, as he mentioned, writing blogs, writing, you know, doing social media strategy, identifying trends in the industry, identifying like how we should be spreading the word about Kilo and KiloClaw, weekly email newsletter to our newsletter audience, all this stuff. Like we have different kind of trend-based projects going on across all of our marketing stuff. And this is kind of like how I organize with my bot, which is automating a lot of it. So basically I have this inbox, which forwards me all of the really important stuff every day. So if anyone is subscribed to our email, you might recognize this email. Basically, I have my Claw bot pulling in from our GitHub for our open source repo for all the latest changes, all of our latest blogs, so it can kind of get a sense of what we're wanting to tell people about. This event is like obviously an important thing to share with people, so that was at the top. Our YouTube channel, again, here's like the SpaceX and root code news, our open source contributors. All of this is like scripted and automated. This HTML format that I really like is in my bot's GitHub account. And I can even show that if I have like 1,000 test accounts here, but if we go to my GitHub, we have like I call my bot Bento. That's also the name of my friend that I built that nurse dashboard for. I named him this. I named my bot after him to kind of freak him out. But we have like our email repository. So here's the Bento board, which is that dashboard I just showed you. So I could probably open source this too, because none of the data is in here. I can share that with anyone interested. It has like the emails. So it has like the newsletters that for every week stored here. It has the example HTML of the style that I really like. So every week I check in on Wednesday, and this is like fully here and rendered for me. Also, I'm not an engineer, so I literally vibe coded this whole site. Like I don't know how to make a pretty UI. I just downloaded some UI skills and had my Claw build this whole thing. There's a lot of good questions in the chat. I'll get around to those. So I wake up to these messages. Like I have some contacts in my email marked as like important. So like Scott, our CEO, Emily, VP of engineering, co-founder. And then it also is reading my Slack. So I was at ClawCon Michigan last week, which was a big event at UMich. and I was reading my Slack and said, hey, someone on the team suggested we make a promo code for the UMich people. And so it's like reminding me of that. It's taking in every Slack message and every email that I could have possibly read and probably wouldn't. And it's using that to inform the ideas that we're working on. Excuse me. I also have this idea board. So every day it gives me like 10 to 15 ideas on like social things, on content we could create based on what's happening on the industry and what it knows about the company based on my inbound Slack and email messages. It also has, this is the architecture of the system, which is like, this is not a very pretty thing, but and for the record, I made all of this mostly by chatting with my KiloClaw and just like working out. And I'll even show you the chat after. Yeah, someone's saying to open source. Yeah, I'll open source it. Let me clean it up and make sure there's nothing sensitive in there. And then I'll share that with you, George, if that's your actual name. George of this jungle, top commenter of the day. Give it up for George. But yeah, so like I have basically one thing about OpenClaw is you can set up like sub agents within the KiloClaw. So I basically have 4 sub agents. The main agent, which kind of orchestrates everything and who I talk to, or that's the persona that communicates with me. There's the writer agent, which has a bunch of writing skills that I downloaded from the Claw Hub to teach you how to be a good writer. It has the analyst agent, which kind of reads from sources and items. It has the scout agent, which is pulling in news from X, from Hacker News, from Reddit, from blogs. There's this database which powers this board. So this agent section is basically my KiloClaw, right? It's writing, instead of chatting with me in Telegram every time, it's continually writing to this database. So there's a few elements in this database. There's events, items, which items are basically like a intelligent like object for like ideas. There's context, there's comments. So I can actually comment on this board and be like, what are you talking about? And send a comment, and then it will respond to me in a minute on this item, which is pretty crazy. So instead of like chatting with it about that item, it'll respond. There's comments, there's notifications and outreach. So doing outreach to like people we might want to work with or partners or creators. It reads my inbox and checks which people actually responded to me, and then updates the outreach channel here, which has information about a bunch of creators. Then there's like the inbox, which I just showed you, drafts, which are any drafts it's working on, and then the outputs, which are like writing to me in Telegram, Slack, email. It's not hooked up directly to the blog or social because I don't quite trust it to do that. But maybe for my personal socials, I could do that someday. So this is like what I built, right? It seems pretty intense. It's like intimidating. It's like organizing like all of my different work streams basically. And I'll just show you how I got there, which is just by chatting with it. So I made a new claw like early April. I had another one that I kind of wanted a fresh start so I could build this interface. I said, hi. I said, you're Bento. I'm Brian. You're going to be a direct, pragmatic, and strategic agent. You don't have to be button up. I don't want you to sound AI generated. So I said, you're going to be my marketing / developer relations assist Nat. Obviously spelled that wrong. I'm going to give you a bunch of information to get started. Telegram is okay for now. I said, core directive, you're my personal AI assistant. I gave it a bunch of, so this is a prompt that's in our accompaniment guide. It's just like a best practices enforcement basically to get it so that it doesn't try too many things in a row without any results, or doesn't send emails without your explicit approval, etc. I gave it access to a GitHub account. So that GitHub account I just showed you, I said, I just gave you access. This is your dedicated GitHub. Use it when you need to do coding or store files. And then I said, I want you to use Blog Watcher, which is one of the like popular Claw skills that teaches you how to read blogs from an RSS feed. I want you to take in a weekly summary of our Kilo blog. By the way, our company, so I'm just now telling it, our company is Kilo.ai, which is a platform for agentic engineering that also creates KiloClaw hosted and fully managed OpenClaw, which is what you are. I said I wanted to read it every Wednesday. This is where I'm starting to generate this weekly newsletter I just told you about. So I'm asking it to generate a newsletter. I told it I put an example in there. You should take some liberties in finding links, such as YouTube videos. And I basically said the bottom of the email should be contributors. You can get the contributors from our open source repo, which will be hyperlinked and formatted by running a script that Brendan actually created for his Claw that I stole in that same repo. And so I said, test and commit these instructions to memory. And I said, send me example. And that's just me like working on like getting the newsletter set up. So I got that set up. Good. I want you to set up a morning briefing. So use the X API. I'm just going to scroll so slowly in case I gave it any. I don't think I gave it any like weird tokens here, but yeah, so now I'm just going back and forth that it's giving me my morning briefing and stuff based on X. I said, can you reformat it to be more readable, only the minimal headlines and bullets, blah blah blah. And then I kind of just went back and forth with it, and then I said I want to install anti-slop front. So this is where I'm starting to have the idea of the dashboard. Anti-slop front ends design skills, search the ClawHub for reliable and trustworthy skills. I want you to invite my GitHub account to any new repo you make, or do it, one time if possible. And so there, we had a campaign about Claude Apocalypse, which was like when I'll actually share that site I made because I think it's kind of fun. But this was literally all done by my Claw. So I just sent it in the chat, but this was like a guide to keeping your agent alive when they pulled the use of subscriptions in OpenClaw. And then I just went back and forth with it until the dashboard worked. Honestly, that's pretty much how I did it. It's probably not the most token efficient way, but I got it done. And people who aren't developers can also do that the same way. I just talked a lot. Brendan, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think that's great. I think there's a couple questions. Like one, like
Okay.
someone noticed it was hosted in Vercel. So how are you hosting in Vercel if it's, yeah, like maybe you could talk about the infrastructure a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's some of there are a few things that I did on like manually with instruction of the bot. So I just like made a free Vercel account and just deployed. There's like a GitHub Vercel integration that's really easy. So I just had it put all the code in its own GitHub repo, and then I went into its Google account and made a Vercel account and then just deployed it. And it just told me how to do that. Yeah, but you could also actually use Kilo deploy. I should have done that. Missed opportunity. Which is like a Vercel, like I actually think my dashboard might not have been compatible for some reason, because I think I did try that. But if you have like a simple Next.js interface, you can use Kilo deploy, which deploys Next.js apps right from the Kilo dashboard. So you could do that too.
Nice.
Yeah. What else? I'm reading the chat here.
Yep, I'm going through that. Yeah, I mean, one question I had, where did the design for it come from?
Yeah, so I really like the liquid glass like UX. I don't know, it's not a framework, it's like a design choice, which is like the new iOS style thing where it's like the transparent backgrounds. So I found a liquid glass UI skill on
nice.
I forget if it was skills.md marketplace, which is like for agents, or if it was from the ClawHub, but I used that skill, and then I just tinkered with it. The desert is cringe, but I love Dune, the book, and like I feel like the idea is to like have it be like prescient, like that, like Paul is in Dune. So I just thought that'd be a fun theme to roll with.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thanks. Yeah, I see a question like, how did you stitch it up with your Kilo Claw in the dashboard on Vercel? Yeah, did you vibe code I pretty much did vibe code the entire thing. Like I literally, the missing piece I didn't talk about is the Supabase backend, which is like a database service, and you can, there's a free tier, which is like plenty for what I'm doing. I made a Supabase account, and I don't know how to configure Supabase, so I just asked my Claw to give me instructions on what I needed to do and access. I gave it access to the Supabase API through 1Password. So I mentioned that I gave it a 1Password password manager. I put all the credentials in there, and then it just configured the back end for me based on what it knew I wanted to do. I didn't even touch it. Brian cooks a lot from the looks of it. What is that? Like cooks, like cooks vibe coding cooks, or actually cooks? I'm curious. Do I look like a chef? Okay, cool. I'm seeing so many companies don't even use their own product, but here's a solid use case. Build your own 10x assistant. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, definitely out of everywhere I've ever worked, I'd say Kilo is like dog foods the most. Like we all use Claw and all of the rest of the platform like a lot. I do anyway. Yeah. I know Brendan does.
Yeah, we even wrote like we have policies on Claw because like of course we're still a company and need to be really specific, and so our CTO even wrote like a blog about how we are safely implementing it, right? So I think it's important for us if we're gonna put something out there to believe in it enough to use it ourselves, right?
Yeah, 100%. All right, cool. Well, I think that's it for today, which is crazy. It's been a long session. I appreciate everyone sticking around. Thanks, Brendan, for joining us for the last bit here. If anyone has any more questions, I'll stay on for a few more minutes. But if not, we're going to do another one of these in the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure exactly when yet, but the plan is to make it even bigger. Maybe we'll get some guests from some Frontier Labs and some other really interesting places. So if anyone has anything they want to see in the next session, definitely throw it in the chat and we'll make sure to include that. But yeah, thanks so much, everybody. This was great. I some great sessions from some really interesting people. I hope you all got something out of it, or you're at least inspired to start messing around with KiloClaw. And again, I'm just going to leave this I'm going to leave this QR up that has all the resources for you to get started while I wait for any other questions to come in. So yeah, let me know what you want to see in the next session, and I'll wait here for a few more minutes, but thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. And to clarify, they said Brian cooks a lot of workflows. So I was right. It's vibe coding. All right. All right. I'm not seeing many questions. So, all right. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to end the stream, and I